And we're rolling. April Ortega, what's good?
Nothing. Just enjoying my day off.
Yo, that's right.
Yeah.
Sunday's the day off.
These days. Well, I mean, I usually have a lot of days off, but now we're kind of shorthanded, so I'm going to have to work a lot.
So you're having to fill in the blanks.
Yeah, that's what I was supposed to be doing for like the past couple of years. I was supposed to be temporary
Employee, but
so funny.
You always get sucked back in, huh?
I was telling Brent that the other day. I was like, remember when I came back as like a temp, just like, fill in here and there, and I like did this crazy menacing laugh, and he was like,
okay. Yeah, every now and then I think about, I'm like, yeah, I could go like work one day a week at the mill just to have my foot in the door, but I'm like, inevitably I know, like, they'll call me on my day off or whatever and be like, yo man, so and so didn't show up, can you come in? And you always get, it's just the nature of the business.
You don't want to say no because you're like, well, gosh, like they need it, obviously. They wouldn't be calling me otherwise, but.
Yeah, so, a part of me wants to just work like one shift a month or something, just cause. But I don't know. Right now I'm real busy with obviously working Monday through Friday, and then being in the band and doing, not only we practice twice a week in the band, but we also do shows and stuff. Weekends. And then when we do a show, it's like we'll have to go, it takes all day because we'll have to go in and set up, bring all our gear, and then do like sound check and all that, and then come back and play the gig. Then the next day we got to come in and break down, assuming we don't all have to do it in one day. Usually we can break down the next day. But it's like a full weekend, which I mean I love doing, but it is work. So it's like that's one more thing in my schedule.
Yeah, it's just the more you do, like obviously like the less time you have. And it's just nice to like relax. Like, how often do you get to see your lady? Not very often, you know what I mean? Like, if you're really busy, it's just like, might as well take the time to chill.
Yeah, for a while, Amy and I kept missing each other. Like we'd see each other just in the morning, and that was it. And then like at night, I think this is back when I was still working at the mill or doing night restaurant stuff or working nights or something. Like, she would go to bed early to get up early, and I'd be up late, coming home late. So basically, short story long, we'd only see each other in the morning, like right before we went to work. And other than that, we didn't see each other much.
But then you miss each other, so that's good. I don't have that opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. I just, when you distance yourself, you definitely get closer in a way, which is a weird paradox.
Yeah. Well, and then the more time you spend with somebody, a lot of times you start like, their quirks start getting like kind of on your nerves. Like, oh my God, just shut up. Just stop talking.
Just tired.
The thing that you fell in love with them for starts to become the thing that annoys you. After time. It's been 19 years, so I mean, come on.
Yeah, I've also tried to shift my perspective too with that. Like sometimes there's little things that'll annoy you. Like sometimes I'll be doing the dishes or something, and Amy's showing me all this stuff on her phone, and it's like.
And you're like, you're in my way.
I'm like, could you get any more in the way? But I'm like, if she wasn't around or something, it'd be like, that's the things I would miss.
Yeah.
I'd be like, God damn it, I wish she was here to like get in my way.
Right.
So now every time that something like that happens, I try to catch myself and be like.
I mean, a lot of times it's our own stuff that's bothering us, so then other people's stuff is just magnified. And you have to kind of like take that step back and like say, wait, what's going on? Like, obviously I'm annoyed, but not because of something they did. I mean, that thing is the trigger, but it's more of a like, why is it triggering me? Like, what is it that's bothering me inside that's coming out and lashing out at this person that you love or that loves you? It's like, and then you do it to yourself too. You're like, oh, I get on my own nerves. Like, why am I like this?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
It's hard. But it's hard to like be good all the time. You know what I mean? Like on your stuff. It's hard. Like sometimes you just gotta like have to take back and take those like little nuggets of annoyances and being like, okay, what does this mean? I had to do that recently.
Yeah, it's a constant struggle of like trying to figure out like why am I bothered by this, and is it caused because of something else?
Yeah.
Or you can't be perfect all the time.
Yeah. Well, then you also have to be like, do I really want to be mad about something like this?
No.
No.
It's not worth the emotional real estate.
No. Some people like being mad, but I don't.
I don't either.
I don't.
I've gotten better at that, you know. Like the other day, I was trying to put this doorknob back on, like
Oh, God.
that wall that you noticed that's all bricked over. I was gonna put the doorknob back on after I had put the fake brick paneling up, and it was just
Not like
it's hot and it's just sweaty and just humid, and I'm just sitting there sweating, and I'm like fighting with this doorknob, and like it got really frustrating, and I was about to get pissed, and then I was like, "No, I've been down this road before." I'm just gonna stop. I'll come back to this later and just set it down because I'm like, I'm about to get pissed the fuck off over
Yeah.
a doorknob.
And sometimes it's literally all it takes, just stepping away for a little bit, take a break. Like I've learned that just like playing video games. Like I don't play video games a lot, but like back when I did, you're like you start like getting into it and you're like, oh, I keep dying at this one spot. And then you like go and you eat,
Yeah.
take a break, and then like maybe the next day you come back and you're like, oh, that was so easy. Like why was I so mad?
Yeah, I did that one time when I was a little kid. Must have been like 7 or 8 or something. My dad had rented me a video game, and he came into the room, and I was like fucking pissed, like literally like crying, like pissed. And he was like, "Damn, I wouldn't have rented you that video game had I known you were gonna be this mad about it." And then,
I know.
I remember that for some reason, but it's just like
It's true. Like
you
it's
shouldn't
like
get that pissed off over something that's supposed to be fun.
yeah, that's the thing. It's supposed to be fun and challenging, but not necessarily pull the rage out of you.
Yeah.
So obviously you do have to do some mental work.
I mean, when you're a kid that young, you don't really know better, but
No,
still.
yeah.
I mean,
And-
I kind of did know better, but still, it just got the best of me.
It does. It does. Especially when you're young like that. You know what I mean? Like you just have like all these like pent up, not necessarily pent up, but just these emotions that you're not like sure how to navigate. And then when it finally like comes up, you're like, ah. And then later on, you're like, oh.
It takes time, you know, like you don't really even know who you are until at least maybe by the time you're 30.
They
if
say
then,
25 technically.
If then, like I'm just barely starting to figure out like who I am and what I like and what
Yeah.
I don't like. And I think
And it changes all the time,
Oh yeah, it's constant tuning.
which is good.
It is good.
Like
It's-
you said, growth.
It's weird how like things that you didn't used to like or thought you'd never like, you end up liking them later or having an appreciation for them. And other things that you used to like really like and identify with later on, you're like, I don't jive with that at all.
Some dumb shit.
Dumb shit. Yeah.
Some dumb shit.
It's a trip.
Yeah. Sorry, my head is so, I don't know. I don't think I have a small head, but these things, certain things.
Do
like,
they seem big? You can squish them.
for me,
They're adjustable. You
I
can
just have
squish
a
them.
little child's head. Because even just like female, like head accessories, I'm just like,
They don't fit.
they
A lot of
don't
times they're
work
too
for me.
big.
but it's fine.
It's all good. They won't fall off.
It's
They'll
fine. I just won't be like,
uncontrollable laughter, shaking your headphones off.
it's possible. I can't promise anything.
So you listened to the first couple episodes or something, or
Yeah, I listened to it. Well, I started to listen to Ryan's, and then I got busy, and I just never went back to it. I loved Luis's just because some of the stuff that you guys were talking about, and obviously the mill shit, like that stuff's like, yo, like I knew exactly what you guys were talking about before you actually got before he finished the sentence. I'm like, yeah, I remember this time. I remember it.
yeah, oh yeah,
Oh, so good. Like the dumb bass thing.
oh the dumb bass, oh
The
yeah,
dumb bass thing.
dumbass. Someone thought that we had written dumb bass on their cup, but it was actually dumbass.
So good.
Oh, that's great.
And just the fact that Daniel was the one that was like, that says dumbass, dumbass.
Out of all people, too. I love how dry and straight up Daniel is. Like you got to appreciate
Yeah.
just the truth, you know, just the straight up dry,
It's just
bone dry
funny.
truth.
And sometimes it's just hilarious because you and me, we know Daniel, but like other people don't necessarily like get Daniel. Like he just comes off as like mean or like he just has a tone, and that's just natural for him. But for other people, they're like really sensitive, like take it as like, huh. But
Yeah.
it's just funny because like I know when he's joking. So like when he's saying stuff, or even when he's not joking, just sometimes he says stuff, and you're like, oh man.
Plus, like,
good.
you know, people It's like Luis was like, yeah, a lot of these little kids have probably never worked anywhere, and they're like, he's yelling at me, or like Luis made a comment like that. But it's funny because there's like you're not even getting yelled at. It's just like,
He's just correcting you.
yeah,
It's just a correction. But
it's good to be corrected when you're doing
yeah.
something.
But when you walk through life with anxiety like hanging over you, it's just gonna be scary.
Yeah, but people got to learn how to deal with that shit, man. I
Yeah.
mean, you're gonna face that everywhere you go.
Yeah. And like we were talking about it because we just recently lost somebody, and we're like, it's nice, but not at the same time. So it's like this whole like
Lost somebody as an employee left the
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So it's just it changes the dynamic of like the environment.
The whole chemistry.
Yeah. And so it's like sometimes it's nice and sometimes it's rough, but usually it's nice cuz usually it's like the hardest person to work with or whatever. So like when that person leaves, you're like, "Oh, thank God."
Yeah.
It's relieving, but at the same time it's like, well,
There's
that
a big
that
hole.
void is going to be filled eventually. Like somebody will come in and fill that role.
That space. I always thought of it like kind of like the business being like a TV show, like a series, and there's like different seasons.
Yeah.
And so there's like different cast members for different seasons, and like I was there for like 9 or 10 seasons or something.
Yeah.
I can't believe it was that long, but it was like 2008, June of 2008 to like 2018,
Wow.
give
So
or take. I mean, it was like
10-ish
8
years.
consecutive years, and then like a little bit of
sprinkle in
little
here
sprinkle here and there.
a
But
little-
yeah, it was basically I chalk it up to a decade just because I'm like, yeah, I got my 10
But you
years
got
and
PhD in pizza.
oh yeah, I got a PhD in pizza.
I don't know what I have.
Well, I had more like an advanced like graduate, like maybe like a master's of sauce and cheese, and or I had a master's in I have a PhD in sandwich wrap, because I worked sandwich shops before the mill,
True.
which is why like when I got to the mill, I kind of already had like a little bit of a clue of what I was doing.
Yeah.
Because I already went through the hell of
I know
like
what I'm doing.
lunch
It's fine.
rushes and bullshit at other places, you know.
Yeah.
But
it's different. It's just I've obviously never worked at any of those other places because I started working at Pizza Mill right out of high school. Like that's my first job. So
Yeah.
far, it's my last job.
yeah, yeah. But you have a business though,
Yeah, there's that. I
and
do
you've been
that.
doing that for a long time.
13 years.
So obviously, I know a little bit about it. But
Yeah.
what kind of business do you have?
Damn it.
I think it's pretty interesting.
Well, some people would say I sling dildos, but that's like that's the slang version.
So you heard that correctly.
Yeah, you did hear that correctly. But my company likes to say, you know, we empower women in the bedroom, but also outside of the bedroom. But we have products that range from everything from like skincare, like, you know, like awesome, you know, pheromone products, but also stuff for your skin. And then we also have the stuff for the bedroom, which is obviously like sex toys, bedroom accessories, and like lingerie, and then all the stuff in between.
Yeah.
So like it's so much fun though.
So you catch a little bit of flack because of the risque nature.
Not really.
Just from outsiders though, not from.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't feel it though. You know, it's like when you say you just don't see the haters.
Yeah.
I don't.
And
see
plus,
it.
you've been doing it for so long.
Yeah, it's like that stuff. It's like I'm a duck. Remember my duck analogy? You gotta be a duck. You just gotta let it roll off of you. It's like, because you know ducks don't get wet, so
Nice.
there's that. I don't know. It's just I've been in it long enough that like even when I was younger, or when I had first started, you know, like I would have aunts. I'd be like, "Oh, you sell that nasty stuff," and I'm like, "It's not nasty. It's like natural. Like people need this stuff."
It's a huge part of life.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because like you think like you go into this room like full of women, and you're thinking like, okay, they're gonna hate me because you know there's this whole like women bash women
Right.
thing, but it's never been my experience because I just go in there like loving what I do, and I think that's like energy is kind of contagious, so people like just feel comfortable learning about sexuality and like things that make it better. And like I've never felt that whole like, why the fuck is she teaching me this? Or
Awesome.
I don't know.
Well, and it's kind of like a lot of things that people don't talk about, and they never really hear anybody who does talk about it, at least not objectively and
Yeah.
constructively. They might
Yeah.
they might see some weird shit on a TV show or a movie or whatever it is they're into or whatever that they discover on their
Yeah.
own, but they never have anybody like formally talk about it in a way that's
Yeah.
like constructive and positive and how you can use these things. So they're just like, they're probably like, wow, like,
And it's been for a long time. It's been very weird. You know what I mean? Like, sex toys is for the freaks. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. That's what you learn like growing up. And I get into these like generational differences where it's like older, like especially like in the Latino area, like they just don't. That stuff is not talked about, and like it's just uncomfortable. And then when you finally kind of like break the ice, you know, it kind of like opens their mind a little bit, like, oh, stuff's not bad.
yeah. And you're like, well, y'all motherfuckers have children. So like, where did they come from? Like everybody's into this shit one way or another, whether you're like totally like plain vanilla or
Yeah.
all kinds of shit or
Well,
whatever, anything in between.
And there was another instance too, because I had a couple of women at one of my parties one time. One of the ladies had like had her daughter like really young, and I was like, and did your mom ever talk to you about like sexual health or anything like that? And she's like, no. And I was like, then you need to start talking to your daughter about it because she's gonna find out in the wrong ways. And she's like, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you know, like even like my mom was open about that kind of stuff for me. Like if I had any kind of question, like if I heard something at school and I went and told her, she would like kind of
Objectively talk to you about it. Yeah.
Well, I have an actual instance. One time I was 7th grade, I believe, and I came home because we were in class, right? And I had these friends, and they were asking me, like, have you ever heard, like, do you know what toss the salad is? And I was like, yeah, like, duh, like, you don't. And they're like, no, I do, but what is it? And I was like, I'm not going to tell you because I didn't know. I literally did not know. I'm in 7th grade. How would I know that?
Yeah.
But they didn't know either. So, like, we were all just kind of, like, in this huddle of, like,
We know, but I'm not gonna tell you because
but we
I really don't know.
But I don't want you to know that I don't know because then it'll make me seem less somehow. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's just, but yeah. Then later that day, I went home and I talked to my mom about it, and I was like, "Mom, let's toss the salad." And I don't remember if she actually told me what it was, but again, like another time, I asked her like what a blowjob was, and she was like, "Oh, that's when a man sucks when a woman sucks a man's penis." And I was like, ew, why? She's like, 'cause it feels good.
She just straight
Mom.
up told you, like,
Yeah. Like, she was just matter of fact about it. Like, oh, that's this. And my mom was really cool about stuff like that. Like, she was the cool mom, you know what I mean? And I loved that. But sometimes I was like, you're weird.
yeah,
I was like, you like doing that? She's like, sometimes.
yeah. There's like a boundary, like with your parents or whatever, where you're like, oh, okay, all right, enough. Like, let's
Yeah.
not go too far with that shit.
Yeah, and then it later on in life, because I sell this stuff, like, I have sold stuff for my dad and his lady,
Oh yeah.
and then stuff for my mom as well. So it's just like
If
you
it-
you just cut it off as their customers,
Mhm.
and then that's it.
After a while, everybody's just adults.
Yeah,
Like there's just like this arbitrary threshold you
Mm-hmm.
just cross one day, and you're like, oh, I guess we're all on this adult boat now. And the age variance is very wide.
yeah,
Like age bracket. Like
Oh, yeah.
you're a kid up until you're like 18 legally or whatever, and then all of a sudden 18 through death, all
You're
of
an
those
adult.
ages are like an adult now.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just like,
yeah,
you know, it's crazy.
exactly. I don't know. It's just interesting. It's interesting to see like the different dynamics of like the different adults, like the younger generation. They are like way more open to stuff than my generation or like the generation before me. And it's just interesting sometimes. Like I'm going in there thinking I'm going to teach these little girls something, and they've already done it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh,
All right then.
okay.
Yeah.
So like
shit.
I feel like I have to break the ice, but they're like, oh, let's do this. Like I got this. Like I want this. And like their order ends up being like crazy. Like more like it's not crazy, but I'm just like, wow, I didn't see that.
It's more
coming.
than you'd think.
I wasn't expecting that.
So obviously it's sales. You're trying to make sales, and
Yeah.
you've got all these products, and so obviously the more people buy, the better. And
Yeah.
So, but it
Yeah.
surprises you sometimes. These younger
Sometimes,
people
yeah.
buy
Sometimes
buy
I'm
more
like-
than you'd think.
But and they teach you also like just to keep saying, and then like Kind of like in like, dude, where's your car? And then. No,
and then.
and then. And basically, you don't stop until they stop. It's like the Book of Yes. Have you ever heard of that?
Not quite.
It's just a book about like he was like a salesperson, in a shop, like a suit shop.
Yes.
Store, whatever, and he ended up getting like a $1,200 sale from this guy. He just like wanted the whole outfit or whatever, and so his boss asked him, well, what did he say no to? And the guy like stopped himself, like he didn't.
Yeah.
I stopped him because that was my comfort level. I was like, God, that's too much for me.
Oh, okay.
So then he basically stopped the sale. It cut it off at that point because that was where his like financial budget was. And
Yeah.
so it's just interesting. It's like that kind
It
of
is
stuff.
interesting. It reminds me of something my brother said. He used to sell cars, and obviously Luis talked a lot about selling cars.
Yeah.
But Julian, my brother, he used to be like, yeah, I just give him a yes or a yes answer. Like you kind of, so are you going to get this one for this much, or are you going to get this one for that much?
Yeah.
And there's no like, or are you not going to get one at all? It's only like, you're going to get this one for this much, or we'll get you into this car for that much.
Yeah.
But either way, you're giving them a yes or a yes. Mm-hmm. Like you're triggering them to either say yes to this one or yes to that one. And like, there's no in the options.
Yeah.
And it's just a psychological trick, and not everyone falls for it, obviously, but it does work on a lot of people.
I don't know.
So you're like, are you going to buy this orange curb skateboard, or are you going to buy this orange curb skateboard?
Which deck would you like?
Which one do you want? Because you're going to buy one of them.
You're getting one, sucker. But for me, like for us, it was like more like, and what else? And would you like 2 of those? Because it's not always like, sometimes obviously you don't want to like them to buy 2 of the same toy, but maybe they have a friend that needs one too.
Yep.
I don't know. But like if it's like we sell Coochie, which is a shaving cream. It's amazing. But it's like, you don't necessarily have to just buy 1. You can buy 2 and just stock up and like just cut them a little bit of a deal.
Yeah, the more you
It's
get,
good for them and it's good for you because then you
sell more units.
Yeah, you sell more, but then also, like the more that I sell of the same item, I can get it as in a case. And
Nice.
whatnot. So I don't know. It's just like interesting little tricks, but another thing that people get hung up on too when it comes to that is like they feel bad for making somebody pay for something. I don't know. Like there's this weird like guilt trip thing that they do to themselves. Like
I've done that.
yeah,
As the skate shop, like you got a homie, and you know he doesn't have much money, and he's coming in, and the price tag on the board or the trucks and wheels and all this shit says what it says, and then he's going to give you all this money, but you know his situation, and you're like,
but he wouldn't be there if he didn't think he could.
Yeah, but I used to feel guilty all the time, like, man, like I'm not to be like eavesdropping into this dude's life or whatever, but like I can kind of tell that he doesn't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
And he's over here trying to get a skateboard and like, but like you
People make
said,
their own choices though.
they damn sure do. And at the same time, like some of these same dudes would be like smoking cigarettes and whatever, and drinking energy drinks and
Buying
just, like,
weed.
buying weed,
Which isn't cheap.
and you're like, all right, well, I don't feel so bad for you anymore because you're like, obviously you got enough money to smoke cigarettes.
Yeah.
You want a skateboard, motherfucker? That'll be $60. But nah.
I mean, that's another thing. You got to stop watering down your product, because what that really says is that you don't believe in it. Like, you don't believe it should be that much. So if you don't believe it should be that much, then you should just lower the price anyways.
Right.
But this is how much it costs, so that's how much they should pay.
Right.
And also, your friends should want to pay full price.
They should, yeah.
To support you, you know what I mean?
Plus, the market decides the price, really, if you really break it down. Like,
Yeah.
If the price isn't right and they can get a better deal somewhere else, they'll go somewhere else. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like, but if you have something special too, you can mark it up just because it is unique and original and
Yeah.
shit
And then
like
you
that.
could choose to cut a deal wherever you want. Just like you said, for your homies, like if you know their situation, then you can that just also just keeps them loyal to your brand, you
And
specifically.
when they're on the up and up, they'll come back and spend their money with
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't feel bad anymore for charging people full price.
Yeah, it just is what it is.
Yeah. I have this lady that always comes back at me like, why is it so much? And I'm like, I don't make the prices. I'm just the cute lady that sells it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
bro, don't come at me. It's like when they get mad, they have to pay for ranch. we have to make this stuff.
Oh, like
it's
at the
not like-
restaurant, yeah.
It's like piddly little stuff. Like, why does it cost that much? Well, if you can't afford it, then go away.
Yeah, exactly. I remember Brent saying that. Like, man, if you're worried about 30 cents over a cup of ranch, maybe you shouldn't be going out to eat.
Yeah.
Like, if you ain't got 30 fucking cents, you know?
And it's just some people just want to, like, just want to be like that, though.
Yeah.
And so you just throw it back at them, like, well, that's just what it is. Like, sorry, you can't afford it. Get out of here.
Joey D
Get
had
outta
a
here.
funny story. Joey D working at the mill. Like, someone came up to get ranch or whatever, and he was, like, going to charge him, like the 30 cents or 50 cents or whatever it was. And the guy's like, I'm not willing to pay that. I'm not willing to put that on my credit card or whatever. And Joey's like, good, we're not either. Because it was like a $5 minimum for a card. He'll tell the story way better one of these days when when he comes back and I have him on here. But it was just so funny. Like, I'm not willing to put that on my card or whatever. And he's like, good. Like, neither are we.
It's just funny.
Oh, it's priceless. There were so many of those priceless moments, dude. Like, where you give it back to somebody, like in a respectful and like as decent as possible.
Yeah, I mean, you're still being professional, but
And when you know it for a fact, you're in the right too. Where you're like, nah, like that. Like, yeah, we're not willing to do it either because there's a $5 minimum. So, fuck off.
yeah, so you still have to pay more.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
I don't know. Having worked there for so long, there's just so much. Like, there's, like, it's always the same thing, too. So eventually you're just like, oh, this is like that one time, whatever. After a while, like, stuff just doesn't bother you anymore. Like, I loved coming back. So I took, like, a 1-year hiatus, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was, like, probably the best timing because that's when everything happened. When we'll get into that in a little bit. But, it's just, like, that 1 year was so nice. But then coming back was nice, too, because all the stuff the reason why you left, like the stuff that was annoying you, like that stuff just didn't bother me anymore. And like having to close, like, oh, I have to close. Like before I left, that sucked. But now I'm like, I love closing. Like Brent tried to schedule me 9:30 to 5:30, I think, coming up this week. And I was like, no. And he's like, what? You get off earlier? And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. It's just more responsibility, and I don't want to. So now I love splits. I love working clothes.
All the stuff you didn't really like before.
Yeah, it's just weird. Like, I like that dynamic. Like, you just come, you work the rush, which is, like, when it's high volume like that, it's actually fun for me. Because, like, you're just handling shit, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And then you get to clean and then go home, and that's it.
That's it. You're not lingering all day, like, fucking just lingering in those middle hours.
See, like, all day shifts now for me, I'm like, I don't want to do it. Like, for me, it's a waste of time. It's not. I'm getting paid, and it's helping the business, but it feels like a waste of time.
But it's a psychological trick where you're like, man, the whole day is going by, and I'm just sitting around here in this place.
Yeah, and which I would just be sitting around at home anyways. So,
but if you work splits or something, you can get something done in the morning, or chill in the morning, or whatever you want to do.
Well, and I go to the gym in the morning.
Go to the gym.
That works for me. So, like, I actually like working at 11 to 2, and then coming back, going home for a little while, eating, and then come back. And then
it's perfect.
Just, it works for me because I go to the gym from like 8 to 10:30-ish. That sounds like a long time, but I do my cardio and my weight training. So it's like,
that's good.
It all works.
Yeah. That's reasonable.
But for like people who don't go, they're like, dang, that's a long time at the gym and you still look fat.
Yeah, but they could check and clock on their screen time and they'd have like 6 hours a day on their fucking phone or
I have
whatever.
that too.
Yeah, we all have that. I'm always researching shit, and looking at music gear and fucking audio gear and
I'm like
all kinds of
recently
shit.
I'm
Just too much.
addicted to like Reels and TikTok. Like I just like it's like one of those mindless acts, and it's just nice. And I think that's honestly a coping mechanism for me. So it's just a way for me to just step out of my life for a little while. You know what I mean? So it's like a waste of time, but at the same time, it's like it still brings enjoyment.
It's like therapeutic.
And then there's a lot of stuff too that I see that's like spiritual, or like there's this guy, he wears a hat and glasses, and he's always like saying like some like inspirational stuff, and then he's the one that like walks off all crazy. You know who I'm talking about?
I think so.
He's got like a really deep voice.
Amy always shows me funny ass stuff too. Like there's this guy, he never says anything, but like he sees people doing something, and then he has this he has this kind of like, why are you doing it like that when you could just do it like this? But
Oh, this guy?
yeah,
I
that
love
guy.
him. I love him.
That guy's hilarious, and he never even says anything. But
It's so funny, like
yeah.
his facial expressions, but then also you just like, exactly, it's like you're making it way harder than it needs to be. Like, why is this even a video?
Yeah.
Like, you dumb shit. Like I think the one for me was the ladle, where it's like, I don't know how to do it. And he was like,
It's like those old school infomercials, like on matinee television, where like they're trying to do something like really simple, but they like throw the screwdriver up to the roof or whatever, and they're like, you need to buy this screwdriver because obviously you won't throw it against your ceiling. Or,
yeah.
but it's like
It's so easy to
it doesn't need
use.
to be that hard to use a
Yeah.
fucking screwdriver.
Yeah, people, I don't know. I think people just, I don't know.
It's
People
funny.
people naturally make things harder on themselves when it's something that they're not comfortable with. But then there's people who take advantage of that.
Double down on their weak points to get better.
Yeah. But if it works.
Yeah, so that mindless entertainment's great though. Like my brother and I the other day, he was like, he's been watching Steve-O from Jackass, his YouTube channel. And like Steve-O at the end of his video, he's like, yeah, man, like nothing on my channel sucks. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. And it's just like so true because everything on his fucking channel is gold. And we were just dying laughing. And it's like, you need that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I love laughing at just funny ass shit because it just like, you feel so good afterwards, you know?
Yeah. And
Us-
especially right now, it feels like, just with like COVID restrictions and everything, it just feels like your life is restricted. And even though there's like lots of things you can do, it still just feels like, why bother? So that kind of stuff just kind of gives you that like, well, dealing with that stuff kind of like makes you feel suppressed, which also makes you depressed.
Oh, right, yeah.
And so that mindless stuff, like me and Brent, after our son died, we would go to the casino because the way I thought of it was like you just push a button and like the screen goes and then
Yeah.
you win money and then like that dopamine like kicks in, so it makes you feel good. And then there's times when you don't win money, but you still have that mindless action of just hitting the button and watching the screen go.
Just the lights and the sounds and just the distraction. And
It's a major distraction. And so now we've gotten into the habit of doing that. We've been going for like 3 years, going consistently, except for when it was closed.
yeah.
You know, when everything shut down, it was closed for a little while, so we didn't really do that. But consistently, we were going like weekly and sometimes like multiple times a week, which isn't great. But
It's not great, but Brent and Brent especially has like a, you know, he kind of, a lot of people say like slot machines are like completely random and it's all luck and you're just throwing money in there. But Brent does have like some,
he has a system, but I don't know.
he's got a system kind of, you know, and we'll let him explain it one of these days because he could really explain it. But it is kind of random, but he does have systems, you know, and it does seem to work for him.
And he always plays the same machines too, like.
Yeah.
And he actually like watches videos on them. I'm like, damn, you're addicted.
Yeah.
You're addicted. You need help.
But that fool wins though.
He does.
Like that
Yeah.
one time at Mullis, we went to Lake Mullis, Colorado.
Yeah, paid for the whole vacation.
We stopped by a casino and he was joking the whole time, like, yeah, we'll just go over there, we'll stop by the casino,
just grab some
we'll-
money."
we'll pick up some money and just pay for the whole trip or whatever. And like straight up, he won like $1,600.
Yeah. And then we went shopping.
And then there's been times
so
where
good.
he went on trips,
Didn't win.
and well, there's been times he went on trips, like he went to Vegas. You guys went to Vegas or something, and he left with a certain amount of money to go on vacation, and then he came back.
Oh, yeah.
He came back with $100 more than he left with,
Plus stuff.
plus a bunch of stuff,
Yeah.
and the whole trip behind you.
Yeah.
So the hotels,
Which
the
is nice.
restaurants, the
Yeah.
dinners, everything.
And see, and I don't complain because I'm like, you do what you want with your money as long as we still have a house. Like, we don't mix our finances, which is another thing that I could probably speak on, but like, we don't mix our finances. So I do what I want with my money. He does what he wants with his money, and we don't fight about it.
And you wonder why you've been together for what?
19 years.
Right. That's one of the reasons.
Yeah.
I would bet. Because Amy and I have been together for
Yeah.
13 years.
And I'm
And
chilling.
we don't
he's
share
not.
money either. Finances or, you know. I mean, we pay
Yeah.
for shit together and split bills and we
Yeah,
do
we
certain
do that
things.
too, yeah.
But her money's her money and my money's my money. And
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons we get along so good, I'm sure. One of them.
Yeah. Well, and it helps to have a passive one in the group too.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
I'm the passive one. Do you want to do this? Yeah, okay, sure.
Sure, we'll go for that.
Sure. What do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? Okay,
Yeah.
let's do that.
I got pretty bad about that too, like being the guy who doesn't know. Like I'm like, I don't know. What do you want to watch? I'm like, I don't know. Where do you want to go eat? I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
I'm
start
kind of
making
in
decisions.
I'm like in that loop right now. Like I'm gonna bring it up a lot, but like when my son died, it was just like before that, like I had all these goals, like I was gonna do this, I was gonna do that, and then when you hit that goal, you're like, obviously you have to make a new goal because you have to strive for something. Otherwise, you just kind of like flake out, you know?
Yeah.
But when that happened, I just like that stuff just doesn't matter to me anymore.
You slowed down.
Yeah, well, and also like you just things that you appreciate changes. Like you appreciate more when stuff like that happens. So it's just like my attitude of gratitude went up, which is weird because I should be in a shitty mood, right? Like I should be sad and depressed and like, you know, like woe is me, woe is us. But for me, it went the opposite direction. And
I mean, you did go through that a little bit because you're a human being and it just fucking you go through that. But for the most part, you've used it as positive.
Yeah, I've always, I think probably being in the business that I'm in, or just being in business in general, has like taught me to not be so negative, look at the positive things, you know what I mean? Like even if somebody says no to you, like doesn't mean no for right now, or maybe that was just not your blessing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when good shit happens, you're like, well, it's a blessing. And then when bad shit happens, there's other blessings.
Yeah.
So when that happened, like all of you guys came around and it was just like our heart is, even though it's shattered, it's so full.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Sometimes certain doors, like you want to walk through certain doors and they close on you and then it leads you to this other pathway and you're like, I was meant to go that way anyway. So later on in hindsight, you're like, I'm glad I didn't go that way.
Yeah.
Because I ended up going this way.
Exactly.
You know?
And like you might not know, like you don't know how that would have ended, but you know how this ended. So like where this led. So it's either way it worked out. Everything worked out to your advantage, whether you think so or not. Like if you got fired from a job, then you just got hired at a better job. Yeah. Or you found yourself.
It's a vacuum. Like I would describe it like a vacuum, and I do this with things in my life. Like I wanted to turn my one room into a music studio several years ago, and I was like, all right, everything that's not music related needs to get out of this room. That way I could create the vacuum for the studio. Because if it's all full of stuff and anything that's unrelated to the music studio, then the vacuum's not there. But so certain things you can create a vacuum for good things in your life, you know? Yeah. Or negative things. I mean, the vacuum is unbiased, you know.
Yeah.
But you can create the vacuum to suck in whatever kind of stuff you want.
There's another thing about that, like the things that you feed yourself, like whether it's negativity or positivity or like even nutrition wise, you know what I mean? Like the good shit and the bad shit. Like that's gonna affect your outcome. So you eventually learn that you just can't be negative all the time because like that kind of stuff it will spiral into like so much worse. And then the same with positivity. Like if you just stay on a positive mind, and positivity doesn't always mean like everything's sunshine and rainbows. It's just like you're more optimistic about certain things. Yeah,
well, what am I learning right now? Or you know, something bad happens, but you can learn from it, you know. Yeah. Or there's a challenge, or there's a wall in your way, and you're like, fuck, now I got to go over it or around it or under it or whatever the fuck, but I'm still going to do it, you know?
Yeah. It's.
And then later on, you're like, oh, because I had to get over that wall before, I learned about all this other shit. And now, like, when you hit that same wall later, you're like, you're just like, oh, I've been over this before. So.
Yeah. Well, and see, like.
Or you can help somebody else get through it.
Yeah. That came up for me recently. So my mom died about 7 years ago, and so that was before Killian died. So for those of you who don't know, it was Killian. Killian's my son.
Your son. Yeah.
My son. But when my mom died, like that was, for me, like she was sick for so long that like when it happened, it was more of like a release, like a release kind of thing.
She doesn't have to be sick anymore.
Yeah, she's not sick anymore. I'm not worried about her anymore. Like it's that all that is over. So you kind of grieve like when they're sick, and then when it happens, you're like, oh, But then it like the grief is not linear, so it's like all over the place.
Yeah.
So you can be like good one day, and then all of a sudden like just be like at work, and like a random thought, like this happened to me one time too. A random thought hits you, like something as simple as eating vanilla ice cream with Hershey syrup, because that's what we did together sometimes.
Yeah.
That like just stupid stuff like that will just hit you.
Yeah.
And it's just all of a sudden like the waterworks. But it reminds you of that memory, so then it's kind of like good at the same time. I don't know. So it's just different. Like when I learned about all that stuff, you know, you go through it, and then when I went through it with Killian, it was different. Like I already knew what to expect. It was a little bit different. The dynamic was different. It was very sudden. It's my son. It wasn't my mom. You know, like
He wasn't sick. She was. There's all this different dynamics.
Yeah, and that you expect your parents to die. You know, you expect to live without your parents. In fact, you go through life without your parents, even if they're still around. Like you're on your own.
Yeah.
But you can still call them, lean on them, whatever. So when they die, it's like, well, it had to come eventually. So, but when your kids die, it's just different.
Yeah, it's against the natural order of
But the grief
what's to be
itself
expected.
is the same. You know what I mean? So like, you still grieve, you still get sad, you still appreciate other stuff differently, and it's just like, I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it, but I don't know. I went back. I stopped going to the gym for a little while after that, and I went back for like maybe 3 weeks later, which is kind of early, I guess, but not really, because like the whole pumping iron and like working on your fitness and like working on yourself is also a mental health crutch kind of thing, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like getting that heart rate up is just, it releases pent up energy and sadness. Like, what do we do with our feelings? We get muscles.
Yeah.
What do we do with those feelings? We make bigger muscles. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's a way to channel that stuff through it.
Yeah. Rather than...
Which can be good, but it can also, like you said, be a crutch, maybe.
Yeah. But I don't think it's a bad one.
No, I don't think so
it's a
either.
bad one.
You got to deal with those feelings.
It's better than, like, drinking.
Oh, fucking
It's
A.
like drinking alcohol to, you know, drown the feelings.
And
whereas
just be
this
in
way
a
you're literally
melancholy, like laying around and
Yeah.
like just like with your curtains closed, like just with the blankets over your head and just sitting in bed and
Yeah,
totally
that's not
like
healthy at all.
No, hell no.
I mean, it is. If you take the time, like, to allow for it, it's fine. But
Take the time to feel it and
Yeah.
let it sink in and be like, this shit's real. But if you can ever channel it into something else that's constructive, why not?
yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say something about like the whole working. It's like sweating out the emotion a little bit.
Yeah.
Although I've had recent times where I was like literally crying at the gym, and I feel bad for everybody else around me. Like, oh god.
Like, oh man.
I don't like crying in public, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm not going to shut it down. I might excuse myself, but, like, I'm not one of those, like, I don't cry. Like, I cry.
Yeah.
Fairly. You might see me as a happy person, but I still cry quite often.
Me too. I'm like an emotional sap. Like, I'm always like...
That's good.
I'm always
love
like,
it.
don't cry. Like, every day. Like, seriously, almost every day, it's something triggers it. You know, it's always this little shit, you know, but I'm always like, keep it together, Pat, you know, but... I don't care.
I
Fuck it.
met a light angel.
I
right?
didn't choose to have my feelings. My feelings are just my feelings, you know.
You can choose to have your feelings.
Kind of choose.
Some people choose anger.
Yeah.
It's a choice. After a while, it's not, because it's like part of who you are, or just depression, or like people like hold on to those like things. You know what I mean? Like they feel it so long that it's a part of them, so that whenever it like they step out of it, it feels uncomfortable, so they go back into that whole whatever it is that they lean on, whether it's like sadness or depression or anger or alcoholism or anything like that. People will like slip back into their old habits or what's comfortable because they've lived with that for so long. But I don't know. I will cry. I don't care. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
It is hard when you're at work, though.
Yeah.
You're like, Pizza Milk, can I help you?
Yeah. Oh,
You have
shit.
to like suck it down and swallow it. Especially when
mean-
like you're on the phone, it's just like because the people on the other side don't know what's going on. You're just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, so you can't control when certain things trigger you, though. That's the only thing.
No,
You can control how you act or like how you respond to it, but sometimes it's just hits you off, like catches you off guard, and
Yeah.
it's weird.
I've gotten better at kind of like keeping it under control a little bit, but I mean, I don't just like start breakdown crying. Usually, that's fucking rare, you know. But
Your
like,
heart swells.
The
and then all of a
tears,
sudden-
like I can feel the tears welling up and shit, and I'm just like, damn, like
Your
I'm
ears
straight
start getting
emotional.
hot.
But it's like a physical response to your heart. It's weird, like you said. You're just like your heart is like feeling something, and like it triggers something in your eyes, and you're like, I'm still a tough guy or whatever, but I'm about to cry right now.
I feel like people who cry openly are actually stronger.
I'm about to cry right now, but I'm still tough. Tough as fuck.
In the same year that my son died, I went on it was a business retreat, but they had another business lady that was there. Like, she was in the same business as us, and she like crushed ceilings. Like, they had to create a new level for her, because in her first couple of years of being in that business, she like surpassed the top. And so they basically had to make a new position.
Because she's so badass, yeah.
She's so badass. And she was so badass that there were Facebook groups about her, like basically to bash her, just to talk shit about her, which is ugly as fuck. But, you know, like then you
That's
fucking
the
know
way of
you're
the
doing
world.
something good, right? People are talking shit about you because you're making them uncomfortable.
Yep.
You're like shining light, and not even on purpose. You're just doing your own thing, but you doing your own thing shines light on their own insecurities, so that makes them feel bad about themselves, and that's in no way her fault.
A bright star makes all the other ones look a little less bright.
So what I was going to say about her though was she was at that retreat, and she's kind of she is insanely spiritual actually.
In all actuality.
God, who used to say that?
Brian.
Oh, jeez.
In all actuality, I think it was Brian.
Yeah, it is Brian.
In all actuality.
It's like, it just depends on the way you look at it. Like, sometimes, but no, not always. But this lady, like, she's very spiritual. Like, in fact, she's sensitive to, like, energy.
Like an empathic
She's an empath,
or
but
whatever.
she's also a medium. Medium. And which is kind of cool, because at that specific retreat, she read a couple of people, which was kind of cool. Like, there was, like...
Right.
Nobody came through for me, so I don't know. Like, I'll have to like see another medium, see if I can talk to dead people. But she said, like, don't suppress your tears. In fact, like, because she's so spiritual, she's like does the chakra and like the crystals, and she has her like
Tarot cards and all that.
Oh yeah,
My aunt does all that stuff
all
too.
of it. And she says, take
Not
your
all
tears,
of it, but a lot of it.
And she says, like, take your tears and then just, you know, put them on your crown chakra.
Wow.
It's like it helps there's that emotional release which your body needs, and your spirit needs it too. But then at the same time, it like it's doing something. It's like opening up your crown chakra for something else. And I was like, that's some interesting stuff. So that kind of opened my view on like that kind of stuff. So I'm like into a lot of that stuff now. I have crystals and.
Oh, Amy's got a lot of that stuff, so. Maybe you should hang out with Amy again a little bit, because
I know.
and it's a two-way street, so I'll tell her to hit you up too. But she's got all these crystals, and she's into all that stuff, and
Like, let's get
she's
a
read up on it,
collection
studied
together.
a lot about it, and she's all into this energy stuff. And
Hells yes.
my aunt, who's in Alamogordo again for a while, she's like empathic. I don't know if empathic is even a word, but she's super sensitive. She's been. She's seen spirits and all kinds of shit, like for her whole life, you know. So
Yeah.
like, a lot of people probably think she's crazy. You know?
I love it. I
But
think that stuff is so
It's
cool.
totally real to her, and Amy's seen a bunch of shit too, and sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I believe that or not, but I'm like, Amy's so pure and true of a person. I'm like, she wouldn't just make this shit up. Like,
Yeah.
she's very like
What does she have to gain from it, anyways?
analytical and like objective thinker anyway. So she has no agenda to just make some weird shit up. Like whatever she saw, like she's seen it, and it started when she was a kid, and she still sees stuff sometimes.
Oh yeah, and that's usually when it's most prominent too. But then you grow up and like, you know,
Kids are closer to the source because they just came from it.
well, and they're also just so innocent and pure, like, and like the outside world hasn't like molded them just yet. And then you grow into an adult, and then you start to fit the mold, and then after a while you break out of that because you're like, fuck that, I don't want to be that. Mm-hmm. You know all about that.
Oh yeah. I never fit in, but I fit in everywhere. I'm like a transparent, like
Me too.
like a chameleon or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I can go to any random party and be like fucking buddies with everybody. And
Me
be like,
too.
"Yo, what's
I
good?
love it so
Ah."
much.
And I could, fit in wherever.
Yeah.
But some of
So
it feels
good.
more authentic than others.
Yeah.
And I try to be like, nah, where do I really fit in though? Like I can kind of fit in anywhere, but there's some certain circles where I'm like, nah, these are my people.
Yeah, and I feel like that a lot, like especially here more recently. Like, it's mostly my gym gals, but we do stuff every week. But I'm like, I just love being with them because they're all kind of on the same journey as me. You know what I mean? Like they're all wanting to better themselves in any way they want, like whether it's physically or emotionally or whatever. But
And all of that's tied together with the gym.
yeah, definitely.
Obviously, anyone who's into fitness or anything knows. Even people that
A
aren't
lot
into
of it
fitness
is
know.
mental.
Most of it is mental.
Yeah.
But all of the compounding benefits of like better sleep and eating better because you're like, oh, I'm working out. Why am I going to eat this shitty food? And then you start eating better, and then you go back to eating some shitty food, and it actually makes you feel like shit. And then you're like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
I can't even eat that anymore.
Yeah, no.
Or like,
I
you're,
don't know.
there's certain. So it kind of cleans you up, but it really affects your whole life. But it's really a mental
Yeah.
game
It is.
because you have to force yourself to like be accountable and show up and get it done.
It's so hard. At my
Sometimes you don't
house.
want to do it,
It's
but you
so hard.
always feel better every time you do it.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of like a double-edged sword when it comes to like that kind of stuff because like you're putting good shit into your body, and then you're also like drinking water, which also makes your body like function better. And I was telling somebody yesterday about how like drinking water, like if you feel like brain fog or like you're just like feel mushy, you know what I mean? Drink water, like that hydrates your body. And like that's what's happening to your brain. Your brain is dehydrated. That's why you feel like blah.
Yeah.
And then when you drink some water, like a significant amount of water, exactly.
I'm like,
Speaking of,
let's get a glass.
when you drink water, like everything just gets hydrated.
Yo, you hear that?
Sounds so good.
Y'all listening in?
So
Get
good.
yourself a glass of water if you haven't done that so far.
Drink your water. At least drink your body, or like half your body weights in ounces. Okay. So if you're 160 pounds, you need to drink 80 ounces of water, right? That's
Right.
just to function normally. But then when you're like on a fitness journey, you have to drink at least a gallon. At least a gallon. So that you're like flushing out any.
I need to step it up.
Yeah. Cheers. But yeah, I try to drink a gallon of water every day. It's so hard. It is. It's hard because you get busy, you know, and then sometimes I'll go hours without drinking water and I'll like, and then I'll like feel it, you know what I mean?
Oh,
You just feel like soggy.
yeah.
If that makes sense.
Man,
Ugh.
yeah. If I take one thing away from this episode, it's going to be like, yeah,
Drink more
step up your
water.
water because no, it really makes you feel better. I was
It does.
over the summer. I was really doing that. I was like drinking like a good amount of water before I go to bed,
Yeah.
and a good amount of like at least a glass of water, like a whole glass. Like slam a cup of water before you go to bed. When you wake up, first thing I go for is the coffee, and I make French press coffee. But I'm like, nope, slam a cup of water first, and then have your coffee. And then I would work out and stuff and drink a bunch of water. I felt so much better. And lately I've been missing out on the water a little bit. I think I've been getting distracted.
And now you feel it. Like when
feel
you
it.
stop to think about it, you're like, why do I feel like shit? And then you drink water and you're like, oh my God. You don't even necessarily realize it then, but like I just know this about water. You know what I mean?
After a while, you just know.
You just know.
You can feel it.
And also like every once in a while we'll do a challenge with the gym. And we're actually gonna do one here soon, but I'm not supposed to talk about it.
Shh, on the hush.
There's only the originals that get to do it. There's like me. I'm part of the originals group.
Nice. The exclusive OGs.
Yeah. But that's one of the things that he pushes us to do, is to make sure we get our gallon of water. Like when we first started those challenges a couple of years ago, like we would have to like videotape ourselves drinking it, and that got tedious because we would have to like cut and clip and like splice all these videos together, and it'd be, if it's too long it won't load, so it's like it's very stressful. But we don't have to do that as much now,
Right.
but it's still part of the practice. Like make sure you get your gallon of water, like still document it somehow, but you don't have to like do like a full on like video of it.
Yeah.
But either way,
So you have like a trainer?
I work out at Showtime Fitness, and I work out with a trainer because that's the only way I'm going to get my shit done. Because I would like to say I think it's because I have ADHD, because I will get stuck in this whole, like if they weren't expecting me to be there by a certain time, I would go on my own time, which would be later and later and later and later.
And sometimes not at all.
And not at all. Yeah, because you talk yourself into
Procrastination.
like, well, I don't really know. So like,
and it's not direct procrastination. It's just like, well, I'll wait until after I do that, or first I'll do these things, then I'll get to it. But
it's not even a thought process for me. I just get stuck in for me, I get distracted really easily. So I got griped on recently about being late to work. So, and for me, I'm like, he was like, it's because you don't care. And I was like, it's not. Like, for me, it's not that I don't care. It's that I get in my own way. So, like, I'm like, I know I need to be there by a certain time. I know I need to leave the house by this time. And then I just get slowed down by my own process. Mm-hmm. And it's not even shit that, like, it's like a process or anything. It's just, I'll be in there brushing my teeth, and then I'll see, like, something needs to be cleaned up. So I'll start cleaning that up. And I'm like, this is how I do it. This is what's wrong with me. Like, I can't just do the thing. And he usually gripes at me for that too. He's like, hey, come to the other room real quick. And then I'll like, a lot of times I'll like grab stuff, because I'm like, well, I'm going that way, so I might as well throw my trash. And he's like, why can't you just come? Like, just come. And I'm like, my brain doesn't let me.
yeah.
So like
and so for those who don't know, you're married to your boss, pretty much.
I'm married to my boss.
Because you work, it's a family business. Your husband basically owns the restaurant, and you work with him.
Yeah.
But you also live with him.
Yeah.
So just so people get the context of it, those who don't know.
Yeah, that's true. I did say that earlier, how it's like, you know, you see your person all the time. That's how it is for me. Like, I work with my husband.
Yeah.
So I see him at home, and then I see him at work. But it's two different things. Like, for me, like, we're not even a couple at work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But his stuff still annoys me, and my stuff still annoys him.
Right.
So, like, that stuff doesn't
And
go
every
away.
now and then it crosses over, but not too much.
And then sometimes, like, we go home and we talk about work, and it's like, ugh.
You
like,
try not
why
to.
Why are we we don't do it as much anymore, but back in the day,
It happened quite a
we
bit.
would spend hours just sitting in the kitchen, like, griping about people that piss us off, or the things that work related. And we'll, like, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, we need to stop this. It used to be me, but now it's just like stuff doesn't bother me anymore. Like, I leave that shit at the door, which is nice. Like, I don't know how I acquired that, but sometimes I'll just go home and that's it.
That's it.
That's it. I just go home and I grab my phone and play my games.
That's what I do with my job, and pretty much always have. I'm like, I always leave it at work because I'm like, man, I ain't bringing that shit home. I mean, sometimes we talk about work. Like when I was working with friends, homies, or whatever, we'd be hanging out after hours. We'd talk about work or whatever. But
sometimes it's just helpful to like bitch about something.
Yeah.
Just to bitch, but as long as you don't get like set in that.
Consumed by it.
Yeah, where it's like hours and hours of it. Like that was over like 3 hours ago. Like a perfect example. One time my mom had road rage. So she just didn't like people pulling out in front of her or being in her way or anything like that. So a lot of times like we'll be, approaching a traffic that's waiting to go, and she'll be like, oh motherfucker, you better not pull out in front of me. Don't you dare pull out. And then they do, but she doesn't have to slow down or anything. And she's just like, you son of a bitch, you motherfucker, like going off about it. And like, I was like, that was literally 30 seconds ago, and you didn't even have to slam your brakes. Like, what's the problem? Like, stop. You're just being negative and bitching for literally no reason. And so that's how it is at work too. Is like it's okay to bitch about it, like get it off your chest, but you start to like train your brain to like be negative and like salty about something.
Yep.
So a lot of times I just go in, like now it's just, I don't have a lot of responsibilities now, which is great.
Nice.
So nice. I just go, like I'm 11 to 2, I go in and make some orders. I, do my slow work, my cleanup work, and then I go home. And I watch a couple hours of TV, and I eat and play with my dog and dogs.
Plural.
Plural. I got 3 of them. They're ridiculous. And then I go back to work. And then a lot of times, like the people I work with on the night crew are just young kids.
High school kids.
Yeah, and they're just pleasant. You know what I mean?
Or college kids or whatever.
Yeah, they're just
early 20s.
They're just young,
Yeah.
and it keeps me young, which is helpful. But at the same time, it's like they don't really have much to bitch about, and it's nice.
Yeah, their drama's not super, super heavy.
Yeah, and if they want to talk about it, it's cool. Like, I'm there. Like, I love being the person that I love being the ear, but that's also kind of like, it's like a positive thing and a negative for me. Like, I like helping them, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to absorb.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. Like,
No, as long as you keep your fences up where you're like, it's all objective or whatever.
I get sucked into this whole, like, people want to just, like, when they're having a bad time or whatever, like text me to, like, get it off their chest. But, like, sometimes that just makes me feel like a trash can.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're just coming in, like, throwing your trash away and then going about your business. Or maybe still living with that. But, like, now you're giving me your trash, too.
Yeah.
It's like, there's positives and negatives to everything, and that's the negative of, like, being the ear for somebody. Was that me? That was my phone.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was my phone.
It's all good.
Sorry.
We ain't scared.
I was scared. I was scared.
We did jump a little. I was like, oh, shit.
Whoa.
What the hell was that? But, yeah.
I don't know. It's weird.
Life is strange.
I'm also kind of an empath, so I can tell when something's wrong with somebody. Like, you could just see it, like, in people's body language, but also, I don't know, I can feel it.
You can feel it.
Yeah. Like, sometimes I'll go home after, like, being in a social situation, and I'll just, like my shoulders are slumped, and I'm like, ugh. Like, I used to kind of feel like that with my mom, too. She was so negative and just sick for so long that it was, like, starting to, like, poison her brain.
Mm.
And she was just very negative. So, like, we would go and spend time together, and it was nice. But then after a while, it would drain me. Like, I would feel exhausted afterwards. Just 2 hours with my mom, and I would just feel exhausted and drained. Like, I need to go lay down.
Yeah.
And it was weird. Like, it's because you love that person. So you're like, I don't know why it's making me feel that way, but...
Well, someone's energy really affects you, and some people are exhausting because of their energy, and it could be negative energy, or it could just be like they have a lot of energy or whatever. Like even like kids or something, like kids have a lot of energy, so if you spend some time around kids, you're like, fuck, man, like these kids are like exhausting just because they have so much energy.
Yeah.
It's like it's sucking your energy away.
That might be it too.
And then same with negative people, like if someone's bitching and bitching and bitching and bitching, it's like ugh, like it's exhausting, But even if someone's just going on and on and on and on and on and on and on about whatever, that can, it's just exhausting.
Oh, I know that one.
So
I get stuck in that sometimes too, because like sometimes I feel like a sounding board. Like, Brent, he loves to talk, and he'll tell you all the things what he's doing, like how he's gonna set this scene and prop up. So
he's just got so much to say.
He has so much to
say.
say.
A fault, almost.
Sometimes it could be less words, but when you live with somebody, and then like when you just see them all the time, it's just that stuff just gets repeated. And I'm like, I already know what you're saying.
You listen to it every time he says it to you, but then if you have somebody over and now he's telling them, now you're hearing it again and again and again.
And then we work together. So
and then you work together, tells everybody at work, and then so you're just like, well, I just get used to hearing all this over and over again, and it just is what it is.
Well, so he's very detailed guy. You'll know that, like with the Haunted Village, like he's very detailed. He will make a cover or a light so that you don't see the light and he'll make it in a way that it makes the prop itself light up a certain way. But he
Yes.
wants to explain that process to me, and I'm like, I don't care.
You're like, dude, I get it.
But I will listen. Like, I know you want to talk about it, so
Yeah.
I'll listen. But after a while, my brain doesn't listen anymore.
Yeah, like Amy will come home from work and she'll be going on and on about whatever from work, and there's this little part of me that's like, ugh, like I don't
fucking
want to hear this
care.
because I've been hearing it for a long time, you know. But then at the same time, I'm just like, yeah, she needs to talk about it.
Yeah.
I need to just listen, and it just is what it is.
Yeah, well, and that's another thing is
And
just
again-
knowing that you're there to listen. That's all they need.
Uh-huh.
Like, just give them that space to speak about whatever it is that they want to speak about. And you don't have to absorb the information. Like, sometimes I'll zone out,
Yep.
and it doesn't even matter.
Doesn't matter.
But, like, I used to do this with Killian, too. Like, he would talk to me for hours about, like, some video game. And I'm like, it's abstract to me because I don't know the characters. I can't even visualize
context
it in
of
my
it
head.
is
But
at
he
all.
sees it. So
Yeah.
he knows what's going on. But I'm like, I'm not listening, but I know you want to talk about it. So carry on, bud.
Yeah.
Go ahead. And so I think he appreciated that. But at the same time, I'm like, it's exhausting, it's draining. I don't know. It's good stuff, though.
It is good stuff.
It's good stuff. Like, it's when you recognize it too, you're like, damn, I'm a bitch. But at the same time, you're like, wait, no.
Nah.
Like, you can't possibly contain all of the information that's in that person's brain and then what's in your brain too. So it's just like, after a while, you become a sounding board,
Yep.
and it's just the way it is sometimes.
Yeah. Just being there for someone to vent to is good.
Yeah.
Sometimes
As
people
long
just
as
need
it's
a vent.
not all the time.
Not all the time. Hopefully
Yeah.
they talk about some cool shit that is interesting too sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to limit my interaction with people sometimes because, like, after a while, they get stuck in that, like, just talking about negative stuff with you, and you're like, bro.
Negative feedback loop.
Yeah, and I'm not an asshole, so I'm not going to be like, please stop telling me this stuff. You know what I mean? I'll just be like, okay. But after a while, I'm like, you know, you see a text, and you're like,
Again, here we go again. Yeah.
what's the problem this time? Because it's not always good, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes if it's over and over and over, after a while, you're just like, you're just dumping your trash on me.
Yeah.
Like, how about, like, we talk about good stuff sometimes?
Or different.
Just different.
Just
stuff.
different. Just change it up.
Did you eat today?
Change it up. Yeah. Even the small talk, you know. Small talk is good sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know. But I don't really hang out with people as much here lately. It's just gotten, I don't know. My social life is a lot less lately, and I don't know why. It just is.
Yeah, so what's on the horizon coming up? Anything? I mean, obviously Haunted Village. For those who don't know, Brent, April's husband, Brent, does the Haunted Village in Cloudcroft.
Yeah,
Shout out
yeah.
Haunted Village. 10 years, motherfuckers. 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years I've been haunting this village. 10 years I've been putting in work.
I'm the best scarer there, so, like, that's something cool to talk about.
So you get dressed up in all black or whatever your
Yeah,
costume is.
I usually
and-
just dress black. Like, there's all these people who, like, come with,
Scare
like,
people.
a character. Like, there's a Michael Myers, and then there's other kid Taylor. Like, he gets decked out. Like, last year he had, like, no shirt and, like, this big, I don't know what
And it's
game it
fucking
was
cold
from.
up there, by the way.
But he's a mountain boy, so it's nothing to him.
It's nothing to him, but still,
But-
like, that's some commitment. It's Cloudcroft
The fuck?
in
Go
October.
put some clothes on. You're making me uncomfortable.
It's cold as fuck.
But yeah, like, some people get into it and they get their costumes and stuff. Not me. Like, I like to be incognito, like, as invisible as possible. Like, usually I'm like bright colors, you know, like, check me out. Like, I'm always like, you were gonna see me.
Uh-huh.
Like, I'm like ray of sunshine all
In
the
your
time.
normal life.
Yeah, but then when I'm in the Haunted Village, I am like black, dark. Sometimes I'll like dark out my eyes, and I'll even like kind of make my like face skeletal,
Like a corpse paint kind of thing, like
something like
death,
that, where
death
it's
clock
just kind of
style.
like my cheeks are sunken, kind of thing. But I want to be as invisible as possible because like sometimes I want to roam or like follow a group and like scare them multiple times, or just be hidden in general. But
Yeah.
I don't want to give away too much, but that's
So you're gonna
scream,
spook some people out at Haunted Village, and
That's so good. Yeah.
so you usually just jump out and kind of scream at them a little bit.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy, but
Just shrill.
just pretty mild, shrill. Yeah. Just yelling at people.
And it's the strangest thing because, like, I never knew I had that scream in me until one time I did it, and I was like, holy shit.
Joey D and I used to talk about that. Like,
Wow.
man, we should get April on some metal vocals or something. Like, she could probably scream. And, you know, if you learned how to do it. Because it's already kind of there. And then if you perfect it. And
Yeah, and it really does come from the diaphragm because, like, sometimes, like, you just have to hype yourself up. And the part of the hype is, like, knowing somebody's coming. You're like, all right. And then when they're there where you need them to be, you're like, that's when you pop out. So you basically are, like, using that adrenaline, like, you're harnessing adrenaline to, like,
project vocally. Yeah.
Because before I used to be like, rah, and people would not even, like, hear me. Like, they didn't even know I was there. I'd
They
be
didn't
like,
hear
rah!
you over the ambiance of the whole. Because there's a lot of shit going on. All kinds of sounds are happening at the Haunted Village.
Yeah, and it's dark, and you like there's lights in your face sometimes, like just depending on the angle.
Yeah.
And like sometimes I'm like, and people just like not even phase. Like they'll get scared just because they're like, oh, like they'll see me, and that's what scares them. You're like, oh shit, I didn't know you were there.
Oh, yeah.
But they didn't hear me, so I was like, what the fuck? So then I finally like came out with this scream. And it's been my shit ever since.
Nice.
It's so
That's cool
good,
as
though.
fuck.
So most anybody who's ever seen, like, you're that girl that screams, and I'm like, yeah,
That's right.
But people don't recognize me because the makeup is just different. You know what I mean? Like,
You're all
it's not how I normally
got a black
look.
hoodie on and shit, and you're just
Yeah.
totally
Yeah.
incognito.
And it's hard to scare my friends because you guys already know I'm gonna be there.
Yeah. The spook spots.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first time I ever went to your guys' house was Halloween. I was like working at the mill, and I think I started in the summer, and so like knew you guys for a few months, and I guess I was cool enough with you guys where you're like, yeah, come up to the Halloween party.
Yeah.
And this is before Haunted Village, and Brent used to just decorate the fuck out of the house. And,
Yeah, we used to be the house. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, people would ask us, are you going to do the house this year? And we're like, yeah.
Because you'd have trick-or-treaters,
Mm-hmm.
and there's certain neighborhoods and certain houses, certain people that deck it up for the holidays, and your
People
guys'
always go to those spaces, even, like, from across the town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They know, like, oh, go to that dude at the top of Del Prado. That dude's got a sick Halloween house.
That guy.
And it ended up becoming the Haunted Village, and he doesn't do the house anymore. But the first time I ever went to your house was Halloween. And Brent's like, yeah, just go to the top of Del Prado. You'll know which one it is. Like, I got to the top, and I swear the house was like you could just fucking hear all the stuff on. I was like, God damn, like, you could hear the hum of the power. And I was like,
miss those days.
I was like,
though.
oh, this must be the place. And that was great. That was the first time I went over there. But
We used to entertain the shit out of people. That was so fun.
You guys'
we just
house,
don't have parties anymore.
to me,
like
it was
we
always
used to.
like the place to go for the holidays.
Yeah, still is.
It still
like,
is.
At least for Christmas, like when we do hot chocolate. I don't know. Well, we don't do Halloween anymore, which is sad because I loved like getting dressed up and like just having fun with our friends. And sometimes we get drunk and then start dancing. Crazy
Yeah.
shit happens, but
Well, and obviously you do Halloween. It's just off-site at the Haunted Village.
yeah,
But it's not the same.
it isn't the same because we're working. The
It's
whole
a
time.
different, you know, different dynamic. It's cool.
Yeah,
It's definitely like
it's not a party scene anymore.
it's definitely not like a downgrade. Like it's an upgrade. The
no,
Haunted
yeah.
Village is a huge upgrade,
Yeah.
but it's not
It's
the
just
old
different.
house party feel.
Yeah. Well, and also it's just kind of like that, like when you grow out of a certain social lifestyle, you know what I mean? You just start missing that part of your life, and that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like we don't have our parties as much,
man. Yeah.
and people are so like now we have like everybody like whenever we hire new people, they're all like young, you know what I mean? So like the age gap is getting bigger and bigger.
Every time.
So
yeah.
now, like, I'm still young, and, like, I can still get down with you young kids, like, have my jokes with you guys, but it's just different. It feels like hanging out with your mom.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because the pizza crew used to be like party, you know,
Yeah.
like we'd all work together, and then like later on we'd be partying together
Yeah.
or whatever. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of separated a lot. You don't party with those kids much. It's just different.
Yeah.
And like Brent talks about it too. Like kids don't like party that much anymore. I mean, they do.
Yeah, and it
but
just
they're like
doesn't.
they'd rather stay home than come to your Christmas thing. And you're like, dude, but you get free food and you can hang out and be social, and we might even slip you a drink or two, or whatever.
Or
But
we won't.
or we won't. I don't
Maybe.
know. It depends on how cool you are, but.
Who's there?
Yeah, it depends on who's there, but they don't even want to come up there.
Yeah, it's
And
like
some of they're not even just young
pulling teeth.
kids. A lot of these kids are old enough to drink anyway. Kids meaning like people in their
They're just young.
early
young
20s or
people.
whatever.
Yeah, it's just like sometimes people who you think would be down to like come and party, they're just don't bother.
Like even for
why?
Mardi Gras.
Like why?
I'm like, dude, Brent's cooking up all this good food,
Yeah.
and we get hurricanes and free drinks and like.
Well, just getting up to the haunted village, like it's not that big of a deal to go up the mountain.
It's something to do.
Yeah, but the people just, it's that instant gratification thing. You know what I mean? Like they have like their cell phones and like video games and like game systems and stuff now at home. It's just like
Why go
they
out?
can have fun at home off their couch. It's actually more work to go have fun.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I mean, it is work to have fun. Like
It
that's
is.
why we're the shit, because we will actually take the time to go do the things or take the time to perform the things or whatever. But people just, I don't know. I don't want to say people don't do that now, because there are people out there that are doing.
Tons of
the
shit.
things.
Tons of cool shit. There's
things.
tons of people doing
Yeah.
tons of cool shit.
Obviously, if you watch on TikTok, there's people doing the things.
But there's a lot of lazy people too that are like, they don't want to necessarily go out and do something because it's like, oh, I got to get out and drive 45 minutes up the mountain.
well,
and you're like,
some
it could
people
be kind
just
of a
don't
pain in
have
the
the
ass,
means.
but carpool, make something out of it.
Yeah, make it
Take
fun.
some beers in your trunk, and then when you get there, like slam like 5 or 6 beers, and then walk through there.
don't
and
know anybody that
make
does
sure
that.
you sober up or have a driver, but then like then go home later.
Oh,
Like,
goodness.
that's what we used to do. Bring like a 12-pack,
Yeah.
slam like 2 or 3 beers right before you go in, and you got like a little bit of a buzz, and by the time you walk the whole thing and come out the
Yeah.
other end of the haunted village, you're like sobered up, ready to go.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, and you go around a couple of times. You have more than enough time to sober up, but also because it's cold up there, you like that energy
You just
like
shake it off.
expels it. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It's fun. That's coming up. We're gonna do 7 nights this year,
No shit.
I think, right? Yeah. So Halloween is on a Sunday. So normally we do Friday, Saturday, and then we'll do like the 3 weeks of Halloween basically.
Yeah.
So Friday, Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday.
Nice.
So because Halloween's on a Sunday,
it's like an extra day.
it's just an extra day. Like at first they were fighting it, like, no, we don't want to do 7 days. But Brent's like, come on, like what's the big deal?
He
Like
told me the story like it was only one person who didn't want to do it, and everybody else outvoted her. All the
you
other
don't
people.
even have to do anything. You just sit there and take the money. You don't even have to show up.
Yeah.
There are people there working that will do it for you.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just people want to be negative and like against things. That's just their natural tendency to just be like, nah, I don't know. Well, what if you did know?
What if you did know?
What if you did?
Oh man.
I don't know. It's just like sometimes it's just fighting people's natural tendency. Just for anything, like having fun. Like even me, like I have a friend that's always wants me to go like have dinner with her, have wine or whatever, and my natural tendency is to be like, I don't wanna. Then I'm like, fuck it. Yes, I do.
You do want to, but there's
Yeah.
this other part of you that's like, I don't know, like I don't know, can just stay home or whatever.
Yeah,
But you
but
have to
why?
sometimes you have to push through that. And you're like, you know what? Like I will go out and
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, so I have to like force myself to be like the yes person. You know what I mean? Like, yes. Do you want to go have lunch with me? Yes.
I'm trying to do that too more often. Make some shit happen and
Yeah.
make it less like, because it's few and far between with certain people. Like even you and I, like I mean, it's few and far between. So
Yeah.
it's just like, I was just thinking about people to have on the podcast.
Yeah,
and like,
I love this idea. It's
I was
great.
like,
I think
April
it's
needs to
great.
get over here and just shoot the shit. And,
Yeah.
hang out.
Well, and also you have a lot of people that have stuff to say. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I didn't think so. I was like, I don't know. I don't really have anything going on. But like I've lived. I've got shit going on. Like I
Everyone-
have had shit. Like
Everyone has something to say.
I was just thinking like about this morning. I was like I was thinking about writing it down, like all the things that I could discuss, and just
Uh-huh.
being like, But I'm over here like, just talk about everything. Let's talk about grief. Let's talk about having fun. Let's talk about Halloween shit. Let's talk about, like, I can go all over.
Exactly. That's really the nature of it. I mean, certain people, like I just had Jason Fetchner on. I wanted to talk to him about some specific things.
Yeah.
So I wrote a few bullet points because he's done some interesting stuff with his studies and
Yeah, I
and some
really
stuff, and,
enjoyed that one because it was just interesting.
I
learning
wanted
about
to
that
make sure
stuff.
and capture some of that, and we just had a lot of catching up to do, and we went to school together and all that. So some people, I like to see like maybe have a little more structure or something.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. These things don't have to have any structure at all, though.
Yeah,
And
but
that's-
it's still nice to, like, you know what people's strengths are. Like,
Yeah.
this person has a lot to say about this particular thing. Like, I could probably talk for hours about grief and going through it and, like, processing it and making sure that you're not, like, running away from it because, like, that just makes it harder.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I was just talking about my daughter. Like, she's about to be the age that her brother was.
Yeah.
And so she's fighting that right now. Like, that's giving her a little bit of anxiety. You know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of like bothering her, making her sad. And I was like, but it doesn't have to be. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to, like, give weight to stuff like that. But I know, like, sometimes it's like a crutch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you just kind of, like, let people, like, grieve how they want.
And there's a psychological part of her that maybe wants to hold on to that and
Yeah.
needs to feel that
Yeah.
for whatever reason. Yeah,
Mhm.
but everyone's different.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I don't know. I can talk about everything for hours. Like, I don't have a space to talk because I'm the ears.
yes,
I don't. So when given the opportunity, I'm like, let's talk, man. Like, I could go all night.
yeah, I know, and yeah, me too. I can just sit around and shoot the shit for hours with whoever about whatever, and doesn't even really matter. But
Yeah.
it's definitely cool when, I mean, shit, we met in like 2008, so
Dang,
it's-
that's the same
it's
year
been a
I
while.
started my business.
yeah,
So 13 years?
yeah, since June of 2008.
Well, shit.
And the only reason I remember it that specifically is because I started working at the mill,
Yeah.
and that's where we met each other.
That's when I started my business.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of June or at the end of July. One of those. I don't remember.
Weren't you doing like Avon first?
Yeah.
I think I came
I was
in
doing it at the same time, too.
right at the end before it transitioned into like slumber parties and then became pure
Pure
romance.
romance, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So we go back, so we have like a lot of shit we could talk about,
We can talk about
And we've been on
everything.
vacation together,
Yeah.
like couples vacations, like
Which is fun, and we
Amy
need
and
to
I
do
and
again.
Brenton and you, and yeah.
We're off track now, right? Because we were going like every 2 years.
Yeah, we're off track.
So we're like off track. But like COVID kind of fucked that too.
Yeah.
So
We'll make something happen.
yeah.
We could even do a staycation or something where we don't necessarily have to go somewhere, but we can just hang out and party and make some good food and like
Yeah.
relax and without having to plan some crazy elaborate thing. But no, we definitely need to go
Yeah.
somewhere too.
Yeah.
And that was our fault because we missed the beach this year, but it just is what
Yeah.
it is.
That was fun though. That was nice.
We could do that regularly though. Like that's something I would like to do like,
Like every
every
year.
fucking summer
Mhm.
is go to like Corpus and hang out. I mean,
Yeah.
seems like a really nice gig.
It was nice. We took the dog since she was so new for us. We didn't want to just like leave her. Like our 2 dogs that we had before, our recent dog, like they're used to us like going on vacation. I'm sure they're not used to it because like we come home to like shit being torn up.
They're not excited
they're
about you
pissed.
leaving, but
They're-
they've been through it.
You guys, but they're used to it. Like they know. But I didn't want her. Cause we had just gotten her.
You didn't want the puppy.
I didn't want the puppy to feel like we
Abandoned.
just picked her up and then abandoned her. You know.
Plus,
what I
she
mean?
had a little bit of history anyway, right? Where Brent got her from someone or something. Like,
Yeah, but it wasn't bad
Nothing- nothing
history. Like
bad,
she was born into that house.
okay,
Yeah, so but she was just so hyper that they were just like, we can't deal with her and the parents and the baby. Like they had like a baby and a chihuahua and 2 German shepherds plus her.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
just too much. And I totally get it now. She's crazy.
so you took this dog with you.
We took her with us because we didn't want to just be like, well, they only had her like a month or 2 before we were about to leave on this vacation. So I was like, we have to take her with us. Like we have to go somewhere that we can take our dog. I want her to take all of our dogs because I feel like that's not right. I'm like, we get this dog and then we take this new dog away and we're like, bye.
Yeah, shit.
And then other dogs are like, what the fuck? You just gonna leave us? Get this new dog? Like, she's your favorite or what? But she's just more work. But it was nice. She got to play in the water. That was fun. Yeah. She's a really good dog. Mostly.
Yeah, she's totally Brent's dog, man.
She's a pain in the ass, though. So, like, she's real cool, like, real chill with Brent. And she's a little hyper, but for me, like, she looks to me to do all the things. Let her outside, feed her, give her the water, play with her. And I'll be like, dude, tell Daddy. Like, tell Brent. Like, Brent's literally right there. Like, fucking go bother him. But she comes over, but she's physical, too. She's like, she'll scratch me. So I'm like, God, I have to go. God. Brent's like, you're training her. And I'm like, she's training you. And I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? Just take it?
Yeah.
And he's like, just don't go. And I was like, she's literally scratching me, though. Like, she will be like, hey, like, as like a way to be like, pay attention to me. Like, come on. Like, I'm asking you to do this thing.
And she's a pretty powerful dog. I mean,
She's,
pretty
I
big.
would say she's probably like, right now, she's probably 50, 60, maybe 70 pounds. I don't really know.
But she's like pure German Shepherd, right? Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's just high energy.
I was throwing the stick for her up in Cloudcroft last week, and at the haunt, while Brent's getting ready, and she just keeps coming back.
Oh, she has no stop.
Coming back.
And she'll stare at you.
Yep.
Like, hey.
All day.
Yeah.
She's on it.
Yeah. And I don't know if, like, dogs just know, like your phone. Like, I'll be, like, just zoning out or whatever, and she will, like, walk over my phone. Like, she will, like, walk on my hand and be like, no.
She's like, get that thing out of here.
Yeah, and, like, my dad's dog is the same way. Like, as soon as I pick it up, like, they'll just be doing their own thing, but as soon as you pick up your phone, they, like, all up in your face, like, practically wrestling you. And you're like, seriously? I just want to chill, zone out, not pay attention to anything. But here you are.
They're like, dude, get off your phone, man.
But she doesn't know her size, though. I feel like she thinks she's a little dog because sometimes she'll just, like, step over you. She has sat on my face several times. Like, we'll just be, like, chilling in bed, and, like, Brent will leave. Like, he usually leaves the house before me, and, like, we have our bed set up next to a window so they can look out, like, when Daddy's leaving or whatever. And I'll just be, like, I'll still be asleep. I'm half awake, but she'll, like, just straight, like, walk over my face and, like, lay on me, and I'm like, wow, I'm just right here. Like, you don't...
Just chop liver.
Don't you see me? You literally don't know how big you are. You're just like, oh, whatever. Bitch. We named her Blue after the Velociraptor in Jurassic World.
Nice.
Right? Is that the name of that movie?
It is, yeah. That's the one that Luis was on. Man, this movie's the biggest piece of shit ever.
Oh! Yeah, it wasn't.
I don't know. I think that's the movie. I wasn't even there. I just heard the story, but it was fucking funny.
Yeah,
we talked about that in our episode, but
I loved every bit of that episode. It's just, I don't know. It's just like I just feel like I can relate to Luis on a lot of things.
Definitely.
Like he sells cars, but I sell shit too. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
I don't know. I just feel like, plus, not to be like, culturalist or anything, but I'm like, he's Mexican, I'm Mexican. Like, we have a lot of like the same cultural lifestyle type
and
things.
you know each other, you work together.
Yeah, there's that too.
You have worked together in the past. And
well, like when you guys were talking about the mill, it's just funny because like a lot of the things that he was about to say, I'm like, I know.
I already know.
I was there.
I get it.
And the whole like, what did you learn, just brought me back to like
what did you
when
learn?
he used to say that all the time. Like, it was so funny.
Oh man.
Yeah. So good.
It is so good.
I do remember though, like when he and Ashley started hooking up, like me and Daniel had like this moment of like, fucking something's going on there. Like, but me and Daniel didn't speak words. We just looked at each other and like looked back, and then it was just like this whole conversation. I was like, dude, like, yeah, like that's happening.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's cool how you can communicate with people just totally non-verbally, and you're just
Oh
like,
yeah.
you just look at someone and you're like, yep, and they're like, yep, and you're like, uh-huh,
Yeah.
yep, uh-huh.
Yeah, or you at least know like dude, like what?
Oh man.
Oh god. I don't know. I've been working at that place so long that I don't know. I've seen a lot of shit. At least there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Too many to tell all of them in once, man.
Oh no, and I
Yeah.
can't even think of anything right now. Anyways, it's just like when there's so much, you're like, what do I pick?
Yeah. The arcade's cool as shit.
Yeah, it's fun. I like to go there. If I don't have anything going on, I'll go and hang out with Brent. You know.
I need to get over there too. Again, more often I need to get in there.
Yeah.
Arcade Dungeon,
Yeah.
Friday and Saturday nights.
5 to 10.
I usually just get a whole roll of quarters. Sometimes I don't spend them all, but
Oh, I have
usually,
a key.
I get a default roll, and I'm just like, all right, here we go, $10 at least.
So I usually, every time I go, like part of my thing is whenever I stop in to hang out with Brent, like I'll check all of the slots, and I almost always get like $1.50. I'm like, cool shit, I got free games now. But plus, like since I basically, you know, well, I'm Brent's wife, so I don't pay for shit. Brent puts quarters in the machine, his own quarters, but not me. No,
No,
I'm better than that.
that's right.
I have to pay. I'm your wife.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ain't paying for nothing.
Actually have a key. It doesn't work on like the newer pinballs, but like I can open any machine and be like,
I think I have a key too, because the last time I worked over there, I accidentally took it with me.
oh yeah. Well, I mean, you technically work there sometimes, so I mean it's okay.
Yeah.
That's just your payment.
I never had to
Free
actually
games.
use it or whatever, but I think I ended up pocketing it and taking it home. I think I still have it somewhere. but
Yeah,
I'll have to look
that
for
happens. I think I have a couple of them.
it. And then
actually.
I wonder, I'm like, are those universal keys? Like, can you just order one off
For a lot of
Amazon?
them.
Or yeah,
Yeah, I don't know about that, but
you could probably
I'm
just
assuming,
find one, go around
yeah,
and
because
start
they're all
opening
like
up
you
machines.
can the one that has the peg, you can stick them in all of the
All
normal
the
machines.
games, yeah.
Just not like the newer pinballs are different. I don't know.
They're more
how different,
specific,
but they're
yeah.
just different.
But anyway, yeah, the arcade, that shit's fun. I love
Yeah.
playing all those old school video games.
I get stuck in the pinballs. I just love playing the pinballs, especially the Iron Maiden one. Like you just jam.
That shit
You
is
know, and you're
badass.
just like, and then you get in a groove. So like sometimes your body gets in a groove. Like if you ever watch Brent play pinball, like he's got like a dance, almost like a kick. Like
Yeah.
he'll do the kick and like he'll like do the lifting of the leg. And I started doing that too. And I was like, well, shit, I'm a pinball player now.
Yeah.
I got the moves. I don't
He's
know,
like a
it's funny.
legit player, huh? Like,
Oh yeah.
man.
Well, that's always like kind of been his jam, you know. He grew up with the arcade games, like, or I don't know if Atari was the first one. I wasn't alive when all that stuff came out, so I don't really know. But he used to like sneak out of his house to go play at the arcade when he was growing up,
Yeah.
and so like that's always been like one of his things.
He told me a story, like on Galaga or one of those games. He stacked up so many lives that, like, he could, like, because you can't leave. You can't go take a bathroom break or whatever because your character will die. Game over.
Yeah.
But he had stacked up so many extra lives where he's like, I can leave for a while, go to the bathroom, take a break, come back, and still be playing because he stacked up so many extra lives.
Oh, God.
But, man,
Yeah, he's really good. Like, I hate playing games with him. Like, you can play 2-player on a lot of the games. And I hate it because, like, I'll die within, like, the first 30 seconds of me putting a quarter in or playing or pushing start. And he'll still be there for, like, 30 minutes. And I'm like, seriously? Like, why are we playing together? Like, you could just play your own game.
yeah.
And then I can, like, play my own game, die within 2 minutes, and then you can have it for the rest of the night. I don't care. But, like, if we're playing together, I'm waiting for my turn. And I'm like, fuck, I'm going to go play another game because
Yeah, I'll just be
he's
waiting.
so good
Yeah.
that he just keep it going and just keep it going. And then, like, oh, let's play 2-player. Let's not.
Let's not.
Play with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
What's your favorite game, probably, lately? The pinball?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Maiden?
Any of the games. But yeah, I personally like playing the Iron Maiden. My jam was the Dracula pinball for a little while, and then they got that Iron Maiden one, and that one's just good. Because I'm used to the Dracula one now. You know what I mean? Like
It's predictable somewhat.
yeah, kind. It's really draining. Like it's hard, but it's just I don't know. Iron Maiden is just new enough that I want to play that one.
Yeah.
As much as I can. You know
I
what I
love
mean?
that one too because you can just pick a song and you're
yeah.
like,
Sometimes you just pick the one that's like.
Yeah. You're just immersed in it. Yeah.
But it's hard too sometimes because like all the other games will be going, so you don't even get to really hear the music. So I don't know. It just depends.
Right. Yeah, I love the ambiance of the arcade. Like even just working the night there or whatever, like supervising it or whatever, just like all the machines just keep going off and it's got a cool ambience to it.
Yeah, and then they've got the music playing in the front room, so it's kind of nice. Like it just gives a vibe, and then all the lights. I don't know. Plus it's fun. Like it's not work.
No.
You can play, and then somebody will come up for quarters and be like, "Oh yeah, I'll go get them quarters," and then you go back to playing. You know what I mean? It's not like a structured job. It's not even a job anyways. Like it's a volunteer thing anyway.
Yeah.
But
I took a laptop in there and I actually like worked on a website for our band. Like we made a little website and I was like, I pretty much got it all done in the one shift there. So I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah, because it's like you don't really have a lot to do. You just wait it out. Like let people come, give them quarters. If like a machine is like stuck or whatever, you can like give them their quarter back or check to see what's wrong with it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've only worked it like once or twice, but
Me too. Maybe 2-3 times the most.
I don't know. Just
We got to do a birthday party or something there again. Those are always fun. Those little after hours parties.
it's fun.
I used to like
have
those
alcohol in the back.
those little cast parties that for AMT or whatever that we used to do at the mill.
Those were fun.
Those were fun.
Yeah, because those people were just so like flamboyant in general, right?
Yeah.
Because they like performing, but they're just a fun group of people.
Yeah.
Just, anyways. Plus, it's just the vibe. I don't know. I liked doing the cast parties too, but that hasn't happened in a while.
That just totally reminded me. I forgot until like just now thinking about it. They did Rocky Horror Picture Show and they were practicing here in the skate park.
That was fun. That was
that
fun.
was cool.
Yeah.
They're all in there like singing the time warp and shit, and I'm just like in my house like this is funny. There's like this big group of people in there singing and practicing this
So random too. Like
Rocky Horror Picture Show in my house. It's just
people
great.
walking around in heels, dudes in heels everywhere.
Just crazy weird shit. Yeah. It's awesome though.
I remember what's that birthday party? Or was it your birthday party that Keith ended up being there? Do you remember that? He came with like a couple of people, I guess, that actually knew you also.
I'm
I don't
thinking
remember.
about a different Keith, probably.
So Keith, he was
The guy in Rocky Horror Picture Show. Because
Yeah.
when I think of Keith, I'm thinking of my guitar player buddy in
Oh.
the band, Keith.
yeah.
But no, this other Keith.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember him coming to one of your parties. Like there was a party here. I don't remember what the party was
Oh,
for.
yeah,
But
yeah.
he was here. Like he showed up.
Yeah. Who knows?
And I was like, hey.
Alamo's got those circles upon circles where
Yeah.
you're like, oh wait,
Wow.
like so and so's throwing a party, and then like you end up over there.
I
and-
think that was one of the weird parties for me. Towards the end of the night, I was like the only girl here with all these like fucking hormonal
drunk dudes.
dudes
Yeah.
trying to get up on it, and I'm like, bro, I'm married.
Yeah.
I'm not there because I'm trying to sober up. Fuck.
Yeah. Shit.
It was funny. Like, it's funny too. Like, I'm not gonna talk about it on camera, but because they're people.
Yeah.
It's like shouldn't have been.
You don't want to call anybody out or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was like,
Shit happens. Yeah. People get weird. People try to get fresh, and you're like, dude,
It's so cute.
you're getting too fresh, homie.
Stop.
You fresh, but you ain't that fresh, okay?
It's also kind of one of those things where it's like, stop, don't stop. I mean, stop, but don't stop. Respect the boundary.
Yeah. Shenanigans.
But you can still throw some of that my way.
I haven't thrown a good party in a while. I want to do that soon.
Us either. I don't know. I don't feel like my house is there right now. It's just a dumping ground for like the thing, like the next thing. Okay, just put that there, and then there's just like stuff stacking up, and I'm like,
I kind of want to do like a formal party, like an invite, like make invitations, plan it way out in advance, because everyone works now and everyone's got shit going on, and you know. But like make it to where it's like, no, here's a bunch of people on the guest list that I would want to show up, and literally mail them an invitation and like see if they show up, and of course they can bring a +1 or whatever, or even they could even bring whoever they want, whatever. I don't care.
There's a party. We want to come. Yeah.
Like literally, and now we're all of age, because like I used to throw a lot of parties when I was like barely 21, or a lot of my friends were, because we all skate together, so there'd be some of us that were older, some of us that were younger, all in between. There might be a few minors there, and plus I remember throwing parties back at my old house and worrying about the cops coming because it'd be loud or whatever.
But you don't have to worry about that here.
No, we could straight up yell and scream and skate and party all night. It doesn't matter.
That would be fun.
And we're now way of age. We're all like, most of my friends were all in late 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s.
I think the kid that plays in the band with you is like the youngest person you have right now, right?
Yeah, he's my only young friend. My only like younger friend. Yeah. Yeah.
I know I have friends that are more my age now, because I mostly hang out with people at my gym, and I don't really hang out with very many people from the mill, unless it's like they go up to the haunt. That's it.
Yeah.
That's like the most hanging out we do. Like we don't all go out to dinner after work or anything anymore. It's not like that.
Big movie nights at Daniel's or anything.
Yeah, like
rare.
That's very like that slimmed down a lot too. Like Daniel was talking about. Well, he kind of stopped doing that anyways. Like, he's just like, nobody shows up.
And he's not interested in having maybe some of those people. I remember talking to him, and he's like, I'm just not that interested in having some of the people I work with at my house.
Yeah. It's like the dynamic is just different
I get
now. You're like, you get along with everybody, but it's not like somebody like you hang out with all the time. You know, like back when Sandy and Brittany were there, like, we hung out all the time. And even like Fabian, like all those people, like we all worked together. So it was just like, we would all party together. Like, those were some good times.
Yeah, they were.
The post-Ashley Fabian days.
Yep.
Those were good times.
We need to start doing some of that shit again.
Yeah.
I
agree.
We'll throw a big party here.
Okay, I want to get fucked up. Just kidding.
I usually don't like to, but,
no, I mean,
but I'll definitely rage with you once or twice here and there.
Yeah. We've had some good times, too. Like, they're 2 o'clock in the morning nights where we're just talking.
Yep.
Like, I think when Amy was gone to Florida, like, you're just like this little lonely boy.
Yeah.
You would come and hang out with me and Brent, but then Brent would be like, I'm going
to bed.
Going to bed. And
y'all kids can stay up.
Talk. And you know me, I'm like, oh, finally my space to talk.
It was Christmas Eve, because I always go to your guys' house for like the holidays and stuff, and it was like Christmas Eve, hot chocolate night, and then we were having some beers and some drinks or whatever. But it was like 11 o'clock or midnight, and then like we started kicking up the party.
Oh, and that was when Zach and Stacy and everybody was there. I remember that one too. No, the party started kicking back up at 2. And Brent's like, seriously, you guys? Like, get the fuck out. But that was back when people would like end up staying the night.
Yeah, I stayed the night that night.
We don't have that anymore. Like, people just go home.
I was like, I ain't going home.
Which is also fine. Like, back in the day, it was like, yeah, stay. But now I'm like, when it's time for people to go home, I'm cool with it. I'm like, okay, bye.
Later.
Now I can just go veg and be normal again.
Yep.
Because, you know, when you're like in a party situation, like, that's still me, but like I'm like up and on. That gets tiring after a while.
And I think that's why I started slipping out of getting like super wasted too, like at my own parties, because like there's been a few times I threw parties and just got way too trashed, and then, but I don't like to be the host, the guy who's throwing the party, and then get all wasted.
Yeah, well, because you got to be on top of it. You got to make sure like shit's still like
everything's good, everyone's good.
I remember that party that you had, the one that I was talking about earlier. Like, people were starting to get crazy. Like, I'm like, fuck are you doing? Like, calm down.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
Like, spilling their beers, and I'm like, okay, that's enough. You're done. You're cut off.
Yeah.
But like, you have to be that person, like cleaning up after people all the time.
Checking
especially
on
when it
people.
was young. Like, it was a lot of younger people at that point.
Making sure they're not overdoing it.
And seeing like me and Brent too now, like
Making
we'll
sure
start
someone's not
cleaning
passed
up.
out in the yard shirtless in January.
Yeah,
Like,
we're fucking about to do something
I
stupid.
had a friend, man, it was like shirtless in the fucking on the concrete, like just freezing, and you're like, dude. I mean, he kind of deserved it, but it's like, damn, dude, someone throw him a blanket or something, you know?
Right? Or like drag his ass inside.
Yeah.
I got pretty wasted one time here, and it wasn't even like your party. It's just like, I think it was right after my birthday. So it was like we weren't ready for the fun to be over yet, right? So we like came and hung out with you here. And then like me, Sandy, Brittany, I think they were fine, but I got fucked up.
On some wine.
I got fucked up. And like, I think, remember Fabian trying to like carry me, and I wouldn't let him. Like, I like jumped out of his arms, and he's like, what the fuck? And then I hit my head, and it was all kinds of crazy stuff. That was the night he took me home, and like we had to stop several times so I can throw up outside this car.
Oh no.
I was like, yay, one for the books. Like, for me, I'm like, that's like, some people will be like, oh, that's embarrassing. But for me, I'm like, look, one for the books. Remember that one time I had to like puke out the car? Like, for me, it's just
It's a good story to tell.
just an experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had another experience when Alex turned 21. We went to Vegas, and we were dumb. I don't know. Like, when I drink with people, especially if they're younger, like, I drink dumb like them.
Yeah.
So we started in the room with wine, and I think me and Ben pretty much just drank a whole bottle, just him and I, because Alex had a little bit, but then I don't remember what happened, but me and Ben drank quite a bit of that, and then we went out on the town, and we got frozen hurricanes, which are like already like higher in sugar.
Way high.
So you already have that.
Yeah.
And then they're like higher in the rum content as well.
And they're pretty big.
Yeah. And so me and Brent shared one, but I pretty much drank most of it. And then I finished Alex, so I pretty much had a full one of that.
Yeah.
I will take some more of
So
that
you're
too.
already lit.
Yeah. So like I started with wine, and then we went to like a harder drink. And then towards the end of the night, Brent was like, okay, that's enough. Like, we need to like call it a night so that we're fresh tomorrow morning. But they wanted to stay out. So I was like, no, like, we want to stay out. Like, so then he went to bed. We stayed out. And we were going to go try to, like, find something to do. But I guess Vegas, like, everything was closed. But we found this place, the place that we got the hurricanes at. They had Jell-O shots, too. Like, double shot Jell-O shots for, like, $1. It was, like, stupid cheap. So we were like, yeah, let's do that, too. And I ended up having 2 of those. So, like, and of course, I like had the tequila one. So there's like rum and tequila and wine. I was just doing all this stupid stuff. Like, normally I'm really good about like sticking with the same shit, so I don't have that mix. Cause you'll fuck your shit up. If
You will.
Like, mix it up.
Uh-huh.
It's just not a good idea.
I was talking to I think it was Hollis when we were talking on our episode. It's just I just got to a point where I know I'm like, ugh, like my body. I mean, not even to be like cliche, but like my body's just like, dude, ugh, like what are
we doing?
What are you doing, bro? Like, and
Yeah.
I literally can't really sustain it for too long. Like,
Yeah.
I'll either get really trashed and like maybe get sick, or I'm just be like, all right, good night, guys, and just like I'll just go to bed on the floor right there. Like,
Oh.
Pat just went to bed on the floor. Or he must be trashed. Like, I'll be totally fine. Next thing you know, I'm just like sleeping right there in the middle of the floor, and you're like, okay, well, I guess he's done, you know. But I just can't handle it. But but I'm down to party a little bit one of these times.
Well, that next day, I was so hungover that like I actually did. I puked a couple of times in like public trash cans.
Yeah.
Like, I thought I was burping, and no, it wasn't that. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh, in Vegas?
In Vegas.
Yeah.
I was like, another one for the books.
Well, if you're going to Vegas, you got to do it up. I haven't done a Vegas post 21. Last time I was in Vegas, I was only like 19. So,
Oh, no.
So I got to walk.
Well, we were supposed to go.
I got to walk through the casinos and kind of see it all, but I
Yeah.
didn't get to like party.
Yeah.
You know.
Get a free drink while you play.
Nah. So I definitely need to check that out.
Well, now that it's COVID again, like, who knows what's going to happen. But the last time me and Brent went, it was like, you didn't have to wear masks. That was nice. I don't know. It was just a lot of stuff wasn't open, but it didn't bother us because that's not what we were there for anyway. So we were just like, oh, it was fine for us. And it was open, like there was nobody. There was one time where we were like walking down the strip, and there was maybe a couple of people. Like, we didn't have to worry about like bumping into people or
It's
anything.
a trip, huh?
It was nice.
Just have it all to yourself.
Yeah, yeah. We were buzzed, so it was good. Worked out really nicely for us.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any plans for the holiday season? Anything coming up? Any trips?
We were talking about going somewhere with James. Last year we were supposed to go to New Orleans and we didn't get to. So maybe this year we're gonna think about doing that, but I don't know how the flight restrictions are gonna be. It's so dumb. Like, I'm like, serious, like, I'm not getting vaccinated. I'm not doing it. Like,
No, me either.
and I don't care if you get it. Like,
Go for it.
You do you, boo boo. I'm not doing it.
Yep.
I just don't think personally that my body needs it. Like, my immunity, I feel like kicks ass pretty good. Like, the flu season comes around, I don't usually get.
I already had COVID back in February.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I mean, not nice, but.
I mean, if their tests aren't bullshit, assuming their tests aren't bullshit.
Yeah.
But I had to get tested for work, and I was kind of even reluctant to do that because it was really intrusive, you know. But the tests they're doing now aren't as intrusive. It's just like a little swab thing.
Oh.
But before, they'd stick this fucking shit way up in your face, and if I could go back, I wouldn't have even done that. I'd have been like, this is bullshit. But
Well, I know a lot of people
but I
suffered
just
a
did
lot
it
of
'cause
after effects
I
after
didn't-
just that.
Yeah, I didn't really know better, and I was like, fuck it, I'll just do it for work. It's not the injection, it's just a test. But who knows? They could have put some fucking microbots in my head or nanobots or
You're
whatever.
chipped. No, I'm
Who
just kidding.
knows? There's some fucking robot gnats crawling around in my brain.
Nah.
But I just did it. But what the hell? Oh yeah, I already had COVID, and I'm like, according to
Like, you
their
had
test.
the antibodies.
Yeah, so I'm like, why would I fucking take a vaccine?
And you didn't even know about it.
No.
Like, you didn't even know, like, the effects on you weren't, like, they didn't kick your ass. Like, I have a couple of
I
gym
had some
friends.
symptoms. I had the no taste, no smell thing,
Ah.
for a week or two, and so I was like, that's probably what I have because that's what everyone was talking about.
Yeah.
But it's weird because Amy didn't get it, and we lived together, and
Yeah.
maybe she did get it and was asymptomatic. Who knows? Yeah, I already fucking had it. I'm not saying, oh, I'm too tough to fucking die or whatever, but I'll take my chances with my immune system.
Yeah,
And
that's
somebody
where
else
I'm at,
being like,
too.
you need to get vaccinated for the save other people. What about other people?
It's not going to
To
save
me,
other people.
I went into work one morning and one of my coworkers was kind of have you been vaccinated? They were
That's
kind of,
like the new, are you going to have kids?
they were
fucking shit.
pulling my chain, but they were also serious. And I'm like, to me, it's equivalent. If I walked into work on Monday morning and someone was like, so did you accept Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior over the weekend? Because if not, you really should think about doing so.
That's how it feels.
And I'm just like, look, motherfucker, you can be saved if you want. You can accept Christ as your personal Lord and Savior,
Yeah.
and you can be saved.
You do
and
you, I'll
you'll
do
go
me,
to
it's
heaven
fine.
for sure.
Yeah.
But I'll take my chances.
Yeah.
And I don't need to be saved, motherfucker.
A lot of people are viewing this vaccine as a cure. I'm like, it's not a cure-all. It's just a precaution, really. That's how that in the past, that's how vaccines worked. I don't know how they work now, if anything's changed, but it was so that your body knows ahead of time. Like, okay, this is what. Keep an eye out for this. You know what I mean? Learn. Their body can learn the virus so that when it does hit, it's not shocked or you can fight it or whatever.
Yeah.
You're not hospitalized.
It's supposed to give you the antibodies to
Yeah.
defend it.
But
And if you've already had the real deal, you already have the real
people
antibodies.
are acting like if I'm vaccinated, now you're safe. And I'm like, I don't think that's how it works.
Nah,
I don't think that's how it works.
No.
Pretty sure that's not how it works. But that's how everybody's acting. And I'm like, I think that's just what they're saying. And they're just eating it up because they just listen to they just listen to the.
You know how the news, turn the fucking news off and listen to, you know what people do? They walk around acting like they know shit, and everyone's just looking at their phones. That's
Yeah,
that's all that
They're
we're
just
doing.
regurgitating what's being said.
And me included, right? So here's my analogy or my explanation of it. Well, how about you listen to your Google and your information that you find on Google on your smartphone, and I'll listen to the information that I find on my Google on my smartphone. So you just listen to your own research, and I'll listen to mine, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you're just using a Google search engine to tell you.
Yeah.
And it's a feedback loop, so it knows
Yeah.
what you're looking for.
Yeah,
It knows
so
what
it's gonna-
answers you're looking
yeah.
for. So mine comes up with conspiracy theories and don't take the vaccine and all this shit, because
Yeah.
I'm like against it.
Yeah.
But somebody who's for it would be like, yeah, that's gonna have all this supporting evidence of why it's good to do
Exactly.
it. So it's just gonna tell you exactly. It's
Well, and also people
um,
seek out information that's going to prove that they're right.
it's like a
They're not
confirmation
going to do
bias.
the opposite.
I don't know the technical term, but I think it's confirmation bias.
That's a great way to put that. for
You're
sure.
gonna find exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So if you
Oh.
believe in it, you're gonna find things that support your beliefs one way or
Aside
another.
from that, like that's with anything. Like the
Anything.
universe is going to give you what you want,
Yep.
what you ask for. So
What
like
you're looking for.
the other day, somebody, I think Daniel was going into the ice room at work to check on a machine just to make sure that there wasn't any problems.
Yep.
But you're going with the mindset of looking for a problem,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And then I guess the handle fell off. So, like, boom, you got a problem.
Yep.
The universe is like, you want a problem? I'll give you one.
Sure.
There you go.
Yep.
That's how I think. Like,
Me too.
huh?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I'm, like, big on, like, asking for you want, but being specific, because the universe is unbiased or whatever. It's just like, oh, you want, like, if you think about somebody a lot, like, they're gonna, like, pop up in your life again.
Yep.
If you speak about, like, I bet you so-and-so is going to be there. Boom, there she is.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's like, if you're looking for that, you're going to find it. And the same with information. If you're looking for information, you're going to find it, whether it's instantly or however long it takes you to find it. But because you're looking for that.
Yep.
I don't know. So
Yeah,
that,
you're going to find exactly what you're looking for. So
Yeah.
you look at your Google on your phone, and I'll look at mine, and we'll all just do our best
Yeah.
looking at our phones. Because that's all we're fucking doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not responsible for someone else's health. They are responsible for their own
Yeah.
health. And somebody else is not responsible for my health.
Exactly.
I am responsible for my own health.
But if you're worried about it, you can stay away.
Sure. Yep.
That's basically where I'm at. I'm like, no, I'm not doing it, but you can do it. Have fun. If you don't want me around, just let me know.
Yeah. Yep. Like Walmart's like face coverings are required to enter or whatever, and I'm like, no, they're not. You're required as Walmart.
Yeah.
The state's requiring you to put those signs up, but I'm not required to wear a mask inside of Walmart, so I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
Someone has at some point we have to stop.
Yeah. I wear them just because that's the bit, like
It's the choice
the
of the business.
individual business, and I'm trying to respect them. Like, I don't think the masks do a whole lot.
I would, but I'm at the same time I'm like, fuck corporations, because
Yeah.
I'm like, they got to stay open the whole time.
That's true.
And so I'm just
Also,
like,
we did too,
like
but
if the pizza mill or like a small local, the Brown Bag or the skate shop or whatever the hell, local coffee shop was like, you need to have a mask on, and the owner was like, we're supporting this and you need to have a mask on, I would be like, okay, cool, well, I'll go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Or I would put one on or whatever.
yeah.
But and I wear one for work.
It just depends on how bad it is that you want the thing.
I wear one for work because I'm like, it's just part of the work uniform. So I just wear it to work, and I just,
Yeah.
whatever, it is what it is. But anywhere else, especially like Walmart, I'm like, fuck you guys. Like, you know,
You're not my boss.
you got to stay open the whole time, and this shit's a bunch of fucking bullshit anyway.
Yeah.
I don't believe the hype. I'm an asshole, but I just believe it. I believe in standing up and being like, enough's enough.
You're just not a
I
sheep.
don't
That's the
fucking
main
need
thing.
to wear a mask.
Yeah.
They
I
don't do
love-
anything anyway. And then you got half these motherfuckers that just wear a little chin diaper. And you're like, you're the real asshole. Like, I respect motherfuckers that wear a mask, full face mask.
Yeah.
But if you wear it all half cocked, you're a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Wear it or don't.
Yeah.
Because you're insulting both parties. You're insulting people that are like, you know, like wear the mask and do the right thing. Or people like me that are like, don't wear the mask and do the
Yeah.
right thing. I think there was a good quote that I saw. It was a Thomas Jefferson picture. I don't know if it was his quote, but it was a picture of Thomas Jefferson, and the words behind over the picture were, if a law is unjust, not only is a man obligated to not follow it, he's obligated to not follow it. that didn't make any sense. But
But he doesn't have to because
not
it's,
only
it's
should
not,
you not follow the law, if it's an unjust law, not only should you not follow it, you are obligated to not follow it. In the words of
Interesting.
Thomas Jefferson or whatever, because that was back in the day where they were like, yeah, overthrow the government.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Now
those
there's a lot of
motherfuckers like left England to come over here to be free, you know?
Yeah.
So they were like gnarly, like rebellious people. And people are like, "Oh, you're so rebellious," and you're like, "At what point is
We're
rebellion?
supposed to be.
At what point is rebellion a bad thing?
Yeah. Yeah, because like
If you're
when
rebelling
you think
against
about it,
fucking
it's like,
stupidity and ignorance,
if you follow the masses, you're just a sheep. You know what I mean? Especially if it goes against something that you believe in or whatever. It's like something that's you're uncomfortable with. If it's not hurting anybody else, then fuck off.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I use the Jesus analogy. Because to me, this
Yeah.
is all religion.
Yeah.
So some people believe,
Yeah, I do
authentically
think
believe in
that-
COVID, and I don't.
There are
don't
measures
believe in
like
COVID.
to like the whole 6 feet thing, you know, like make sure you keep your distance because you don't know who has like there are some people who are asymptomatic. I totally get that. And like the masks, I get that too a little bit. I don't really care. Like I don't want to wear my mask, but I do just out of respect for
You're not going
like,
to take up the fight over it.
Yeah, I'm not yeah. And it's also it's a invisibility cloak, I
Yeah.
think. Like I don't like going to like Walmart.
That's what Joey was talking about. He's like, I kind of like the mask, and then, like, you know,
Yeah,
Like,
because
'cause-
people don't look at you anymore.
yeah,
You don't see people and they don't see you kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like you just like they're just these blobs of things that you avoid when you walk. So you
Yeah.
don't bump into them. So like for me, like I'll wear my mask in public if it's required. If they have the sign up, I'll wear it. But like we're not requiring our customers to wear them.
mm-hmm.
Like we don't even have the signs up.
No,
But we're wearing our masks because it's fucking they'll shut our shit down if we don't. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like to appease the government so that they're not like, fuck you. Like you're shut.
those fucking cocksuckers.
Ugh.
Because those assholes all party without masks,
Oh,
and they
yeah.
go on vacations with all kinds of
Mm-hmm.
people and throw huge parties, and then like there's video clips, you know, of like Obama and all these people at huge parties and
Yeah.
no masks or whatever. And the governor of New Mexico and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. Like to me it's like it's
I'm
just
like,
a
fuck all those
control,
people.
Like a way to control the people, you know what I mean? Like keep them scared so that you're better to control them. And I think that's why our like it's so hard to hire right now because so many people are sucking the unemployment because
Yeah.
they're being rewarded. They're being rewarded for like staying home and don't go out, like
Yeah.
suck the titty. You know what I mean? And like they want that because then they get more votes that way.
And now you're a good person when you sit around and be a bum. Like it used to be like when you were like a 30-year-old man-child still living at home, not doing shit, you were like kind of a bum. But now it's like, well, I'm doing the right thing because, like I don't need to be going out there like spreading this disease.
The disease that you're not carrying.
Yeah.
But whatever.
And you're like, nah, you're still a fucking bum. Don't
You're
use
just
this as an
justifying
excuse.
it, yeah.
If motherfuckers were dying all over the place and there was like literally corpses in the streets, maybe I'd consider
Yeah.
getting a shot or, taking some of this advice that they spew on the news.
The
But
thing that bothers
I'm
me
not
about
convinced.
this whole thing is that COVID numbers and COVID deaths are on the rise, but so is suicide. But they're not talking about that shit.
Cars kill
So
people.
is
What are
cars,
you gonna do? Take everyone's car away?
diabetes, or do people not have diabetes anymore?
Oh, what about diabetes and
Or
obesity?
just, like-
We
Yeah.
just need to ban Coca-Cola and McDonald's and all that.
Yeah, and I know that like
oh, they got to
those-
stay open the whole time. Yeah.
those kinds of things like harshen the effects of the virus. So I get that, but now if someone like if my mom were to die now, it wouldn't have been because she had kidney failure. It wouldn't have been because she had an infection. It would be COVID.
It's all COVID. Well, and then people talk about cases too. Like I went to work and like someone was like, "Yeah, there's like 96 new cases," and I'm like,
So
"Cases don't mean shit."
Yeah.
There was probably a lot of cases of diarrhea this week too, but no one cares.
nobody's talking about that.
No one's talking about this shits pandemic.
Well, and also my dad had a good thing on that. He was saying that because they're testing more. Everybody's testing now because like a lot of times you have to test if you're like to see if you're positive or negative to go on to the next thing to get this job or to stay in this job. Like I can't believe people are getting fired over it. Like, if you're not getting the vaccine, you're fired. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? The vaccine is only going to do anything for me.
Yeah.
Well, have fun being shorthanded.
You didn't have enough vitamin C, and we're testing. If you don't take some vitamins, you're not allowed to work here.
Yeah. Well, I can't because I
If
choke
you
on
don't
them.
permanently alter the chemistry of your body with these experimental drugs, you can't work for me. I'm like, fuck you then.
And
I'll
I know
never
that
work for you.
People have arguments against that too. Like, ibuprofen has shit that you don't need in your body either,
Yeah.
but it does help.
Oh,
It has helped
we don't
with
know the
thing.
long-term effects of cell phones, and we don't know the long-term effects of all this kind of stuff. So, what are you going to argue? You don't know the long-term effects of these COVID vaccines. But it's just like, once you jump off a cliff, you can't unjump off the cliff.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people have that sunk cost bias where they've already gotten it, and so it's like walking through the woods alone at night in the dark, and you're like, yeah, you always feel better when you have someone to go with you, that way you're not alone. So when you take this thing of the great unknown, you don't know what these chemicals are, and you're like, yeah, well, I already took them, so I want to try to convince other people to take them too, so I don't go on this trip alone. And you're
A
like,
good analogy. I don't want to have kids. You should. It's a great thing. It's so amazing to bring a body, like a person into the world. I don't want kids. That doesn't change anything. I did want kids, but I had my reasons why I wasn't going to. And it just solidified over time.
yeah.
And so people just still ask, but that's like the new question. Like, are you vaccinated?
And you were talking about biological children, because you had children, but
well,
they
I
weren't
raised two, and it was rough.
Yeah.
And that's part of my reason why I probably won't go down that road again. I know I'm still young enough. Technically, I'm 37, so I don't know. I don't know if my body can handle that anymore. People say like it's still possible, but I did that. You know what I mean? It was parts of it was a nightmare, and then there were parts where it was joy. You know what I mean? So it's like kind of a give and take. But at the same time, I'm like, oh no, I wouldn't do that again.
Yeah.
It's just like let's say it's like drinking alcohol. It's not the same, but like say like after you drink too much alcohol, the next day you're like, I'm not doing that again ever.
Yeah.
But then you do. But like for me, like I love kids. I love leaving an impression on little people. You know what I mean? But I think I would just be a great aunt.
Sure.
That way I don't have to worry about the long-term stresses of having children. I'm like, we're still dealing with that. You know what I mean? Like Alex is still a young adult, and we still have to like worry about her, make sure that she's still, well.
Yeah.
And just, walking adulthood.
You're still taking care of her in a way.
At least like,
Emotionally
or whatever. Like you're still concerned.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
And they'll
Like
never
just
go
because they
away.
become adults, it doesn't mean you stop. Your job doesn't end.
No.
You still have to like walk the line as a parent somewhat.
Sure.
But I don't know. It was fine. Like she kind of it was rough raising her. She was good because she was more my daughter. Like I wouldn't say more my daughter than Killian was my son, but me and Killian had a different relationship. Like we grew up like when I came into their life,
he was a little older.
He was already 7. He didn't like me very much in the beginning, and then I didn't become his mother figure. I just stayed his friend, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't, like, parent him.
Yeah.
So we grew as, like, we had our own relationship, but it wasn't, like, the parent-child dynamic.
You had, like, a guidance. Like
somewhat,
an older sister almost, kind of.
Yeah, I didn't parent him because we just didn't have that dynamic. I didn't want to be, like, your new mom. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that never works.
But when Alex came to live with us full-time, like, officially, she was in our home full-time. That's when, like, I stepped into the role of, like, motherhood. And it was just difficult. Like, you worry about the girls more than you do the boys because boys are more self-sufficient. I don't know if every single boy is like that, but, like, Killian was pretty self-sufficient. Alex, you had to guide her a little bit. And maybe still.
Yeah.
But you really do have to worry about, like, outside external influences, and that was one of my biggest struggles with, like, raising her. But yeah, so I wouldn't do it again.
But this argument of like you're gonna have kids or whatever, like it's
Yeah.
like this question people would ask you,
Always.
like you don't know what love is until you have a child, And you're like, motherfucker, like, I can imagine, okay?
People still.
I could understand what it would be like to care for something. In fact, that's one of the reasons that I don't want to have kids, is because it's just this huge emotional investment of, like, you have to care about something
Forever.
so hard. Like, even my pets, like, just our ferrets, I'm like, I care about them so much that I'm
That
like,
was my thing,
I don't
too.
even want any more pets. Like, after they're gone, like, I don't want to have to love and care. And it sounds like I'm just being selfish, or like, but I don't want the responsibility of being a caretaker and having to
You just understand the burden. Like, I don't want to say like kids are a burden, but kind of.
Yeah.
Because you have to shift the way you live and the way you act and like everything. Like you have to.
You have to make sure that they're
Yeah.
cared for.
But and
Priority
then also
number one.
set a good example. You know what I mean? So like, if you're like, don't do drugs, but I'm over here doing drugs. Like,
Yeah. Your parents are your biggest number one influence. Don't smoke. Okay, well then why do you smoke? If you smoke, your kids are probably gonna smoke.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, maybe not these days, but that's just
No, they'll just vape instead.
they'll just vape instead. Well, shit, we've been going for a while. Maybe we could keep going for hours, but
Yeah.
let's save it for episode 2. Any closing thoughts? Any
Don't do drugs. No, just kidding.
Don't do drugs.
No. The
No,
only
but-
thing I've got to say is just be you, man. Just be your own person. Think for yourself
Yes, I totally agree with that.
and be yourself. Like, people need you, more you in the world. You know what I mean? Like, just be you. I don't have any closing thoughts. That's just, like, my advice to people in the world. Like, just fucking do it. Like, you want to do something, just do it. And especially if it scares you. If it scares you, that's another reason why you should do it.
Except for the vaccine. The vaccine scares the shit out of me, and I will not.
That's not what I mean.
No, but you're talking about challenging things.
Yeah, like if you want to start a new business, or you want to like start like an art project, or if you want to learn how to play piano, like anything, like just fucking do it.
Yep. Get started.
Like, it's been my experience that life is not forever.
Yes.
It can go like that. Yeah, it's just not worth waiting. And I know sometimes you get like stuck in a loop where you're like too busy or whatever. Like, you just kind of get bogged down by responsibilities, and that's totally understandable, and it's okay to like make sure you're taking care of your shit. But if there's something that you do want to do, like, look into it and start doing it.
Yeah, don't put your life on the back burner for too long. You gotta live up front.
Yeah.
Sometimes too.
Yeah. I'm right now, I'm not in that. Like, I don't know what I want. Because after Killian died, I was just like, meh. Like,
But-
nothing matters. Like,
Maybe going back to that thing we were talking about earlier, like creating a vacuum, like you might not have something right this second, but
Yeah.
you've got the space to create.
yeah.
So you're open to something.
Yeah.
Is there anything on the horizon? Like that
More work.
more work?
Yeah, 'cause we just had 2 people quit, so that's been fun.
So you'll be doing that. But any
Yeah.
personal endeavors?
No, we're gonna start a new challenge for our fitness journey. So like, I usually like, I go hard when it comes to that. You know what I mean? But then that, for me, that's like physically challenging, and I like doing that. Like, I love being challenged. But I don't. Business wise, like, it's just there. You know
Just
what I mean?
there.
Like, for me, like, I've been doing it so long that I can pick it up like nothing. It's just now, like, it's kind of just waiting on like the customers to decide. And I know, like, when I was in it before, like when I was in the rat race, you know what I mean? It was like, you got it. Like, you have to give them the options. Be like, well, I have these dates and I have this date. Like, I'm a hot commodity. Like, let's go. You want to do this party? Like, let's do it. But now I'm just like, okay, whenever you want. Like,
It is what it is.
I was like able to save enough money in the past couple of years that
You
like
could slow down.
financially I don't need to like
Push the sales too hard.
rush or and I'm right now with my business, like, people just kind of come to me like out of nowhere. Like, I'm still making the same sales as if I was doing parties, and I'm not.
Nice.
It's like,
You've built up your clientele and referrals.
yeah,
And
it's just like people like they love me. Like when they say like, I think Louise said this, like people don't buy the product because of the product. They buy that product because of you.
Yep.
They buy people.
That's right.
And it's true. Like people love me and I'm like, why wouldn't they?
Goddamn right they love you.
I don't know. It just I encompass that, and I am like that. It's just like my like people love me, so like I don't have that whole like, oh, people don't like me. I don't see that shit. Like they say, grind so hard that you don't see the haters, and I'm not even in that grind. But I'm just like, I don't think I have haters, but maybe I do.
Nah.
Maybe I
It's
do.
kind of like what I was thinking with this whole podcast. I was like, well, what if I put something shit out there and it sounds stupid, or if someone finds it and they critique it and they don't like it or whatever. But then I was like, this is just my own
Fuck
thoughts in
them.
my own head. For one, fuck them. But for two, I'm like, they won't even watch it.
Yeah.
Like if someone doesn't like it, they just simply won't even watch it.
Yeah.
Like things that I don't like, they're not even on my radar because I don't even pay any attention to it.
Yeah, exactly.
So the only audience that we'll have are people that
It's
are cool.
just like
or
what
that
you
are
feed
interested.
yourself, and a lot of people are like that too. Like, people are gonna feed themselves what they want,
That's right.
and people want me, so
That's right. So, well, I guess closing thoughts would be people need to drink more water,
drink more water.
we drank a
fucking
bunch.
Move your ass.
get
daily.
active daily. It's good for you. Drink your water.
I can't say get the fuck off your phone because I'm always on my phone, but
You
at least do what makes you happy.
maybe try to use your phone for positive things if you can. Something that benefits you in some way.
I mean, I play, like, most of the time when I'm on my phone, I'm not even on social media. Although, I do put out a lot of inspirational or positive stuff because that's the kind of stuff, like, I'm regurgitating. Like, I'd rather be positive, so I'm regurgitating that. Or even just, like, my struggles. My struggles still have a positive twist to it. You know what I mean? Are you crying?
No, it shows that you're human.
Yeah.
It shows that you're human. Your
Yeah,
struggles.
like I'm struggling, but it's good, or like I'll get through it kind of thing. Like I'm not like, woe is me. Like look, I'm struggling. Like I fell off the wagon.
Me too. I try to put anything on social media. I try to put something that's cool
Yeah.
or interesting or like lighthearted. Like
I
if
have
anything.
found that people love pictures.
I used to put drama shit on there, like a little bit here. Well, not really.
Talking shit to somebody
But I
vaguely.
used to put like some stuff that was kind of intense on there. But I'm like, now right before I hit submit or whatever, I'm like, is this gonna
reach the person I need it to see? Like need to see it, or is it gonna feed people?
even if it doesn't necessarily add value to someone's life, but is it cool? Is it positive or is it interesting? And
Yeah, what's
if
the
the
point of
answer's
like,
no,
why am I putting this out here?
if the answer's like no, this kind of
Sometimes I'll
stupid,
type up a rant
I won't put it out.
and I never put it out. Like this week fucking sucked. Like we had like a full timer quit, and then we had another person quit on top of that on a Friday. Like, well, I'm not sure if it was on Friday. I just know that Friday sucked. Like I was supposed to leave at 2. I didn't end up leaving till like 8:30. I didn't go in till 11, so it's not a big deal. But it was hard. Like we were just like struggled the whole time. Like it was busy, but we weren't all like grumpy about it or anything. Like
Just
it was
move
fine.
on.
It was just fine. It was just hard. But I mentioned that on Facebook, but it was more of like a like we hung tough. We did it. Like we got this. But
Yeah.
we still need help. So if anybody wants to come, like we're hiring.
Yeah, shout out Pizza
we're
Mill.
hiring.
So if anyone knows how to work and has a decent
Anybody
work ethic,
has work ethic, wants to show up for their shifts on time, for the whole duration of their shift, that'd be great.
go ahead and take your ass to Pizza
Yeah.
Mill and get yourself a
Yeah.
job.
It's a good environment right now, I think.
I love
like
it.
we
I
have a
worked
lot
there.
of good people right
I worked
now.
there on and off for fucking 10 years, so I would highly recommend it.
Yeah. I mean, I love it. Like I've been there 19 years. I did quit for a little while just because like
It takes a special kind of crazy to work there though, so you got to be.
it ain't for the faint of heart, obviously.
Anybody who's made it 2 hours into our episode has to be a special kind of crazy anyway. So maybe if you guys need a job, go hit up Pizza Mill.
Yeah. Oh, I got a lot of response on the post that I made, though, so that's good. Hopefully,
what's
we'll
up.
get a couple of new cool people in there that like to work. And like
That's
to
right.
make, yeah. But yeah,
Fucking A. Well, thanks for coming by.
yeah, I had a blast.
Let's definitely do this again one of these days.
I'll do some crazy shit and have more to talk about
Because
later.
I mean, I want to obviously have different and rotate new guests, but we're gonna
Yeah.
keep rotating these same familiar characters too. Because why the fuck not? So yeah, create a vacuum for good things.
Yeah.
Drink your water. Get
Feed
up.
yourself positivity. Feed yourself good nutrients. Run with purpose. That's actually the main thing. Run with purpose. Like, don't just, bump through life. That's where I'm at right now. I just don't have a purpose, I don't think.
So find a sense of purpose.
I need something.
Yep. You don't need to be happy every moment of every day because
Nah.
that's impossible.
Nah.
No one's happy every moment of
Yeah.
every day.
But I think
But-
my purpose is being the ray of sunshine for other people, and I can live with that.
That's right. Cheers to that.
Cheers, friend.
The good shit.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
I had a blast. I love talking, so.
We'll do it again. One and done, son. Episode 5.
Whoop, whoop.
April. Peace out.
Bye.